Dad is in the back of the room.
Sounds good. I'll make a call.
Hey, how are you? How are you doing? I came to. No, that's not possible. But I heard it was
Good evening, everybody. Before we get on the record, for public comments, all we're going to do is we're going to ask you to raise your hand, and then the chair, Dr. Merrill, will call on you. You'll come up to the microphone. John, is that working? And then you'll just have to say your name for the record. We presume you live here, but if you don't, it's okay. It's a public meeting. So just your name for the record would be good. No need to sign in anymore. Those days are kind of behind us as far as that goes. So the record, if you want to be on the record, is your name. Otherwise, you can just say I'm a Grand Haven resident. But we ask that you put your name on the record if you can. So we're going to get on the record here in a second, start recording. So give me about 30 seconds. Keep it quiet. We're also live streaming in the back. You'll notice the cameras. That's some of our new technology improvements that we rolled out this year. So we're also filming some of this tonight. So we appreciate it, and we'll get it on record here in just a few seconds. Does everybody have their microphones on? Check underneath and turn them on. This is good, John. Okay. Test. It's not real loud. Test 1, 2. Let's swap this out. Let's sit in the chair. Not speaking, we'll just ask you to turn them off. All right, good afternoon, everybody. The time is approximately 3:02 p.m. We're going to call to order the regular meeting for Grand Haven Community Development District. Today is Thursday, August 20th, 2026, and we're right here at the Village Center, 2001 Waterside Parkway. We're going to go around the room. We're going to do call to order, and we'll just start down here. We'll start with the board and start with Supervisor Myers. You just call out your names. Sorry. Thank you. District Manager.
Meryl Stasser here.
Howard Gaffney, District Manager. Scott Clark, District Council.
Vanessa Stepniak, District Director of Operations.
She was getting a promotion.
Slicer, horticulturist and arborist.
John McCaskey, Amenity Manager.
Is there any other staff in the audience? None? All right, we'll go right into the Pledge of Allegiance if the chair would like to lead us in that, please.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're going to go off script a little bit before audience comments, and I'm going to turn it over to the chair. As she's getting ready to stand up, the board will recall that we had a promotion of Ms. Vanessa Stepniak to the Director of Operations, and her award came in. So we would like to go ahead and do that, and I'll turn it over to the chair.
It's with great pleasure that I give you this. You know, I'm one of your fans. You've done a great job for Grand Haven. You've done it for many years, and you've done it quietly, which a lot of people don't. So I'm very proud of what you've accomplished for us, and happy that you were in the new position of Director of Operations. So thank you.
If the board wants to come up, you can come up next to the chair and get a picture. We'll get them a photo real quick. Nope. Yeah, this is all about her.
Well deserved.
Okay. Well, it's a great way to start off the meeting. I know we've got a lot to cover today. So we can start with the audience comments. This is items related to the regular meeting for clarification. We have basically 2 meetings today. We have the public hearing, which is going to start at or around 5. It can't start before, but it could be a little bit after, depending on the length of our regular meeting. So we're in our regular meeting. Any of those agenda items or non-agenda items, I'll just ask if you have any questions related to the budget, just save those for the public hearing, because when we open that public hearing, then we can go back and forth, Q&A. You're not limited to the 3-minute rule, but the public comments are, you are under the 3-minute rule, so we'll turn it over to the chair. Just raise your hand if you'd like to speak, and she'll point or call on you. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Howden?
You should have 29 Osprey Circle. Is it working?
Yes, sir.
John McCansky has provided you all with a bunch of statistics the last several meetings, and I want to tell you that look at John's statistics, and I will get some to you to pass around, if you will. I took a look at what I thought were some interesting low numbers, which turned out to be the gym and the basketball courts. And I took the June figures that John gave you, and I picked the hour that had the most people in attendance at that hour. And you can scan down pretty quickly and look at the 2 gyms, the most people that attended in 1 hour. For the Village Center gym, we only had on 2 occasions where the highest hour usage was less than 5. For Creekside, we had 3 occasions which the hour usage was above 5. But the Creekside numbers overall are much lower than the Village Center numbers for the gym. One of the things I did was look when I saw the anomalies at what happened right before or right after the peak hour. And let's take the Creekside peak hour of 10 people on the 7th. That happened at 8 a.m. in the morning, and both sides of that, there was like 1 or 2 people in the gym when the census was taken. The only time that Creekside and the Village Center had the same peak hour was one time on the 30th, and that was at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. For the basketball courts, you can look at the numbers are pretty miserable there. The Village Center basketball court was not even used 21 days in June. That's all zeros. Creekside, 8 days. You can look at the numbers, you can ask me questions if you want to, look at them your own way. But I'm suggesting that these numbers say a couple of things. One, for the basketball courts, there seems to be a better use for the land here at the Village Center than having a basketball court. 2, for the gyms, I use the word treadmill. I noticed in the budget it says fitness, various different things, a treadmill. I'm wondering whether or not the numbers suggest that we ought to spend more money on exercise equipment. Any questions? Why not?
Thanks, Chip. Points well taken. Yes, I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Yeah, my name is Tom Cavey. I live in Canyon Lakes. And I attended a meeting here about 3 months ago, and I asked about the lighting from the pool. And I was told that you would discuss it for the next 2 months, and I wanted if you'd come up to a decision on whether putting the lights out in the pool so we can swim earlier.
Howard, would you like to inform the gentleman about how that's proceeding?
I'm having a technical difficulty, thank you. Tom, thank you for the question. We are done with the electrical survey. They had the electrical engineer come down, review everything. He sent me some information. I've given him some clarification. He's provided the scope and the specification. The next step in that is for us to put it out and try to get some prices on what it would cost to make that compliant for a permit for night swimming, and that would be the process. The timing of that is probably the next 30 or 60 days.
Okay, and my second question is,
It doesn't mean we're going to do it, though. It has to come back before the board.
my second question then is, you can't get into the swim until 7:25 in the morning. And we have people, we got the 7, 8, and 9 times, where everybody has an hour to swim. Well, the 7 o'clock swimmers, I am one of them. We have a whole hour to swim now, so we're down to a half hour. You know, we're gonna adjust the hours somehow, so everybody's gonna get, their hour swimming, or at least 45 minutes of swimming.
John, let's let Mr. Lukonski address that.
Let me look at the time slot and see if we can shorten the time slots. It won't make everybody happy, but it'll accommodate more people.
Just so, I know a young lady that I swam with at number 7 anymore, but she swims for an hour, so she can't swim for an hour at 7 o'clock. Thank you.
I can make the hours, times shorter, that'll allow more people to swim.
How much?
I'll get with Heidi, and we'll look at 45 minutes, maybe look at a half hour, see what we can come up with.
Okay.
A half hour is not long enough for most people.
Got the fast.
Might have to be a combination, Tom. Let John investigate it. More questions? Veronica?
Good afternoon. I gave out a little handout that's got some background information on this. We've got the dog park, please. Good afternoon, and welcome new members of the board. Congratulations. I didn't get to say that before. I'm asking the board today not to spend any more money trying to fix the existing dog park until we answer a more fundamental question. Is this the right location, and does it fairly and safely serve the residents who pay for it? Grand Haven is primarily a community of retirees and older residents. Many of our neighbors use canes, walkers, wheelchairs, and other mobility aids. Yet reaching the dog park requires negotiating a long, winding gravel path, unless you want to hop over all the roots and go that way. In the end is a small fenced area in a wet, swampy environment covered with treated mulch and plagued by ticks, mosquitoes, insects, and occasionally snakes. There is one small bench, no appropriate adjacent place for someone using a wheelchair, no water for the dogs, no place to rinse them off, and virtually no facilities. The bald eagle nest immediately beside the park also substantially limits use during a significant part of the year. Now the proposal is to divide this already small enclosure in half and put gravel on one side. The problem isn't the lack of gravel, the problem is the location. The dog park is west of Colbert Lane. More than 75% of our homes in Grand Haven are east of Colbert. Most residents therefore must cross that major roadway dividing our community. Colbert Lane is also undergoing a major widening and drainage project expected to continue for approximately 2 years. There are also serious ADA responsibilities here. Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act prohibits a public entity from excluding a qualified person with a disability from or denying that person the benefits of a public service, program, or activity because its facilities are inaccessible or unusable. Federal Regulation 28 CFR 35.150 requires the CDD to operate its services, programs, and activities so that when viewed in their entirety, they are readily accessible to and usable by individuals with disabilities. And this is especially important now because under 35.151, when a public entity alters a facility in a way that affects usability, the altered portion must, to the maximum extent feasible, will be made readily accessible and usable by individuals with disabilities. So before the CDD divides this park or installs more gravel, I'm asking for a documented ADA evaluation of the parking, access route, gate, surfaces, circulation, and seating. Accessibility is not a courtesy. It's a federal civil rights obligation. Florida law also applies in matters. Section 190.02 says CDDs are intended to provide community services through uniform, focused, and fair procedures.
Sorry, you got about 10 seconds.
Am I done?
About 10 seconds.
Okay. The rest of it's on there. Hey, we need a good dog park that serves both ends of the leash. And I think it's not a question of who's using it now, it's who could use it, because there's a lot more people that could. And it's a health issue too. People get out with their dogs every day, whether they want to or not, in all this heat, and it's important that we have a safe and friendly environment for them to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, over here. I'm Tom Hart, on 4 Brookside Court. I really only have, my comments are going to be pertaining to Track D in Brookside Village. I really only have 2 questions. We were recently advised by the CDD that the CDD mandatory lot owner maintenance plan proposals that we had submitted for Track D could not be approved. And my question is, at this point, will the CDD have the landscape contractor, I think it's Vertigo, now assume the responsibilities of maintenance for Track D land? And will the CDD also advise all of the homeowners that are contiguous to Track D so that they can be advised of this change? Any questions, any responses? I would like an answer to that. The CDD also advised that one lot owner's landscape contractor maintains and mows and trims a possibly small portion of the district's property immediately adjacent to the owner's rear property line and extending toward the pond bank. Since this property owner or lot owner must have gotten an exception to it, we would like the CDD to consider also, since we are also adjacent to the CDD property, consider that the possibility of setting up a reserve that would be contingent to our backyard property line. It would be a small portion as stated in before. And we would request that this CDD, well, I should say that we do not want to maintain this reserve. We simply want the CDD to have the contractor, Vertigo, maintain this property in any effect to preserve it and let it go back to its natural state. And the reason that we want this is so that it could also improve and maintain the stormwater management system. So we go back to its original function, and once this is written.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I don't know your name.
Hi, Angela Fitzgerald. I live in the Bluffs. I've been working with Vanessa regarding the ponds, and I know Solitude is here today to give us a presentation. But I would like to hear what the plan is for Pond 28 to mitigate the issue of constant algae. The pond is blanketed every night with algae. I know they've taken water samples, and I'm hoping we'll get some information on what the results were, and also what the plan is going forward to resolve the issue and prevent it in future years, so that we don't continually have this issue.
I think that's part of what's going to happen today. And if not, we can discuss it afterwards. More questions? Yes, please come forward.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff Davis, I live in the last street, Front Street, Village. I have some experience of management of community associations as a mentor with Orange County, with other neighborhood associations. I also have background in working computer applications. I haven't been here too long, but what has been apparent to me is there is a very great need for additional communication within the grandbaby. As a result of that, I registered a website, mygrandhaven.com. I've been working for several months to create a website to go along with that. And essentially, it allows people to register, and it's restricted only to people in Grand Haven. It's not like next door where everybody within a 30-mile radius is going to be involved, and there's little interest in what most people say on there, and it's too bad. This will have no ads to use, and it enables people to correspond with each other and to the community. It allows people to add a profile with their interests, what they're looking for, what they're interested in. It enables them to search for other people with similar interests, and to share skills and knowledge that they may have, that they are prepared to share with others and make new friends, get to form groups with common interests such as gardening, sewing, whatever. And they can provide public and private messages. They can upload photos and videos, post classified ads, sell stuff, buy stuff. There's also surveys on the site that they can express interest. I've got some handouts that I'll hand out to you, and I would like to hear your interest in hopefully support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Ray Grove, 45 North Park Circle. My question concerns the fiscal year 2025 audit. First, it's commendable to both the board and the management team that you had no recommendations. My question concerns the fact that there was a change in the district's fund balance, decreased by about $500,000 from 24 to 25 year end. And the year before that, it went down about $300,000. I was wondering if somebody might be able to explain the reasons for those decreases.
I'll try to speak loud. If it's okay, I'll answer. So in the audit, there's two things that you would notice. The assets depreciate, so there's some of that overall value is decreasing. If you notice in the audits, any fund balance decreasing, it's because of a use of fund balance. It's either strategic or planned or budgeted. And in years where we're doing capital projects that are above and beyond what was approved, or we'll have to do a budget amendment, or if they were strategically planned to use those funds in the capital reserves, you would notice that in the audit. So I wasn't here for that specific year, and I'd have to go back and look at it, but I commit to get back to you with a proper answer.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you very much. It's not available. You can't really make it out in the audit itself.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Hopefully next year you'll see an increase in fund balance.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Yes, I'm sorry, Tom.
Good afternoon. My name is Tom Byrne. I live at 20 Lakeside Way. As most of you, or you all should know, that I was heading up, the candidates event to be held on October the 22nd of this year. We have 3 candidates that are unknown to the general public of Grand Haven, and they were going to have an opportunity to introduce themselves and give a little bit of a background. Everything was fine. The flyers had been sent out to the entire community, and Mike told me today that we're going to have to regroup and figure out something else to do. So I would like to know what's going on.
I want to make sure we recall our conversation before the record. So there was some advisement that I received from district council after I sent your information over to him to review. We would prefer that sitting board members that are not candidates not be made the point of attention. So they wouldn't want them, we don't want them to sit up there up front and be recognized. They're members of the public at that point. So we're asking for that accommodation, and then the other accommodation was for them not to speak. We are going to go ahead and notice, we do have a notice requirement that we're going to meet, which is in case they do speak, because they got free will. Something happens, we just want to make sure that we've done our due diligence as a district to let everybody know that there's more than one supervisor going to be here, and
will notice it that way. So I'll turn it over to Scott so he can give you a little deeper clarification.
Scott, if I may say something before you answer. I'm the moderator. That's all I'm doing is introducing. I don't have any answers to any questions that are going to be given to me as the only person, plus the candidates sitting up front. So there has to be some way that we can have the existing supervisors' ability to answer questions if a question comes up that none of us can answer. And the main purpose is to introduce the three candidates so that the voters in Grand Haven can vote on someone that they select.
Well, and I think, Tom, that's feasible, and I remember that you hosted one many years ago when I ran. I don't remember the other supervisors or the existing supervisors being there. So I think what council is advising is a deep respect for the sunshine laws. And so I don't think we're going to cancel the event. I think we're just asking for some modifications going forward.
And I had no problem with that. And if you recall, we had to do it off-site because of the
COVID
pandemic. And that was a toughie because we were reporting and then we were expecting the voters in Grand Haven to understand everything that was going on, and sometimes that's a difficult task to accomplish. I'm open for suggestions, and I still want to be the lead and the moderator, and I think these three candidates need time to be viewed by the voters. And the biggest concern I have, and if you recall, we had like 20 people at the last get-together. I need to fill this room. It makes no sense to have an event like this unless we can fill this room to capacity. Because that's going to show that the voters of Grand Haven are interested in what's going on, and they can hear the candidates' qualifications so that they, when they go to the ballot, that they can vote for the person that is best qualified. So again, I'm open for discussion and for
we'll
suggestions.
discuss some more, but it's going to happen. Don't worry about that. It will happen. And I think it's the right thing to do for the residents of Grand Haven. They need to be informed and make good voting choices. So thank you. Okay. More questions? Okay. Howard,
All right.
Thank you, everybody. We're going to close the audience comments. We're going to move into the regular agenda items. We have the proof of publication, meaning our notice requirements. That's an exhibit in the agenda. I'm not going to click on that. But the next thing that we have, we've typically done a year in review here at Grand Haven. And this year we're doing something a little different. This is the first time we're going to roll out a video. And it is, I want to thank Mr. Nason, who's in attendance back here, who put this together on such a very short request, basically a week's notice, and the staff for accommodating it. So while some of you will want to critique things, we'll just ask you to wait and see what next year brings, because from this video, it definitely inspires us to do some things differently. In the past, it's been a 15, 20, 30-minute presentation about things, and then a lot of slide presentations, but we'll let the video speak for itself. So I'm going to go ahead and start that.
Established in Flagler County, Grand Haven has matured into a premier master planned community of 1,901 homes. Welcome to the fiscal year 2026 year in review, covering October 1st through September 30th. This year was marked by operational excellence, vital infrastructure investments, and transformative leadership restructuring. There is a lot that goes into making Grand Haven the community it is today. Some of it is highly visible, but much of it is not. Behind the beautiful common areas, well-maintained infrastructure, the communications, and the everyday services residents rely on, there is a team of talented and dedicated people working every day to make Grand Haven a great place to live. This work also includes landscape enhancements, tree maintenance, and firewise initiatives overseen by District Horticulturist Louise Leister, who works closely with our landscape contractors to maintain and enhance the community's common areas. Our administrators are often the first point of contact for residents, guests, contractors, and visitors. They welcome new residents, answer questions, help resolve concerns, coordinate communications, maintain records, and manage the many details that keep the district operating smoothly. They process and manage gate access devices, maintain guest lists, place orders, research products and services, compare pricing, coordinate with vendors, and provide critical administrative support to the district manager, director of operations, and field operations teams. And perhaps most importantly, they understand that customer service is at the heart of what they do. They take the time to listen, find solutions, follow up, and go above and beyond whenever they can to help our residents. Every phone call, every question, every new resident welcomed into the community is an opportunity to serve Grand Haven well. Our field operations team are the people who work throughout the community, often in the Florida heat, behind the scenes, and sometimes before most of us are even awake. Their work encompasses far more than what we see on the surface. They maintain and improve community infrastructure, address repairs, work with concrete, drainage structures, curbing and sidewalks, coordinate electrical and plumbing needs, manage equipment and district assets, and respond when something needs attention. They prepare work sites, operate specialized equipment, coordinate materials, inspect work performed by contractors, and take pride in completing projects safely, effectively, and to the standards Grand Haven residents have come to enjoy. They also respond when conditions aren't ideal, working flexible hours, rotating on-call responsibilities, and assisting with emergency and after-hour needs when necessary. And just like our administrative team, our field operations team interacts directly with residents and understands that how we provide a service is every bit as important as the service itself. Let's take a look at some of what these teams have accomplished this year. Installed sound dampening acoustic panels at the Village Center Cafe, built the new tiki cup furniture, relocated bike racks while adding seating near the Village Center, completed extensive refurbishment of streetlight poles throughout the community, installed slip-resistant pavers at the tennis courts, replaced benches around the community, resolved bridge safety items in wild oaks, constructed an in-house surface vacuum system to remove floating pond algae, completed extensive power washing throughout the community, replaced a significant amount of concrete curbing along roadways and sidewalks throughout the community's common areas. These projects are just some of the works that our talented field team has completed in-house. By keeping repairs and preventative maintenance internal, we bypass corporate vendor markups, profit margins, extensive wait times, and employment call-out fees. This allows our operations and maintenance budget to stretch significantly farther, maximizing the impact of every dollar spent on asset preservation. Beyond maximizing our budget, an in-house team delivers key benefits third-party contractors simply can't replicate. By utilizing our 9-member field operations and maintenance team for daily operational care, we reserve external contractors strictly for specialized, licensed projects. Looking ahead, the Grand Haven teams will continue building on this year's accomplishments with a focus on maintaining our community, preserving its assets, supporting continued improvements, and providing the responsive service our residents deserve. Together, these teams provide the foundation for effective day-to-day operations and positive resident relations. They support one another. They support district leadership. They support our vendors and contractors. And most importantly, they serve the residents of Grand Haven. Our transformation in leadership began this year when the Board of Supervisors made a strategic management decision to realign the chain of command with the intent of Florida Chapter 190.007, placing all district operations under the oversight of District Manager Howard Mack McGaffney. As part of this restructure, the board promoted Vanessa Stepniak to the new position of Director of Operations. Furthermore, to build a high-performance operational model, the district contracted FCS Management Group to conduct an operations review. The review confirmed strong foundational governance, established updated employee KPIs, appropriate vendor contracts, and recommended live streaming board meetings to YouTube Live to eliminate digital friction and enhance resident transparency. Additionally, the board approved a new procurement policy. This policy gives appropriate spending authority to the district manager and director of operations, streamlining purchasing, and creating efficiencies while maintaining strict internal controls. Looking ahead to late 2026 and early 2027, the district is investing in modern information technology. This upgrade will bring a new maintenance work order system, app-based push notifications, and clearer resident communications. Today, our administrative team remains sharply focused on resident relations, operational support, and informative communications, while our skilled field maintenance team delivers scheduled preventative maintenance and completes major projects in-house, saving significant funds and stretching every dollar further. Those dollars protect an extraordinary asset base. Grand Haven owns and maintains over $15 billion in infrastructure. This includes nearly 20 miles of roads and sidewalks, 46 stormwater ponds, and miles of nature walking paths with scenic bridges. Residents enjoy 2 amenity centers, 2 pools, 2 spas, 7 clay tennis courts, 4 pickleball courts, 3 croquet courts, 2 bocce courts, 3 basketball courts, 2 fitness centers, 3 play parks, a dog park, and a restaurant with a full bar. The fiscal year 2026 operations budget was adopted in August of 2025, and the fiscal year is rapidly coming to an end this upcoming September 30th. The board adopted the district's operations and maintenance budget of $4,834,283 to fund the annual operations of the district, to include community maintenance, amenity operations and maintenance, security, landscaping and irrigation, utilities, information and technology, administrative and field operations staffing. In addition to the operations budget, the district adopted a capital improvement plan budget of $1,035,027 to fund infrastructure reinvestments in gate operating systems, concrete curb and gutter repairs, road resurfacing projects, stormwater system aerators, landscape enhancement projects, maintaining nature paths, bridges, and entryway monuments. Thanks to proactive management and fiscal discipline, the district is projected to finish fiscal year 2026 under budget, while successfully achieving 100% of its capital projects and planned maintenance. This efficiency even allowed the district to pull forward projects scheduled for future years. Fiscal year 2026 was a year of tremendous progress, poising our community to preserve its long-term beauty and ensuring residents continue to enjoy the lifestyle that makes Grand Haven grand.
Board, I'd like to tell you that it's good to be back at Grand Haven. It's good to see the successes of the team. I appreciate the opportunity to continue to serve you. I know I speak for everybody when we say thank you for your recognition of us as a team. It's hard to lead sometimes because it's probably in everybody's DNA to be critical of things. There's an overabundance amount of things that we can do in Grand Haven. Vanessa will tell you, and Ed and the rest of the team. But I just want to take 30 more seconds and ask those that are here, that are part of the field maintenance team or admin team, any of the members of the Grand Haven staff to stand up and be recognized for their efforts this year. Thank you all. So we'll continue to build on videos. We're going to add some new things. Vanessa and I have already been talking about how we can kick that up a notch. But Nason, well done. Thank you so much for getting that done for us. We appreciate that. So we'll move on from that. We'll move on to the next item, which is presentations. And then we've got a few other items. We have some other proposing companies here, and I want to move them up and probably out of order so that we can accommodate them. But the first thing that we'll do is we'll move on to the pond report from Solitude, and then after that, if it's okay with the district horticulturalist, I'd like to get the insurance companies in and out so that we can get that done, and then we'll finish up with presentations with the district horticulturalist, if that's okay. So Adam, if you'll come up, please. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. It's hard to follow up with that beautiful. That being said, obviously aesthetics is probably, if you ask the residents here, they want to see aesthetics, and they want to see pretty ponds. They pay premium live on the ponds, and they want to make sure the ponds look good. So that's also where we come in too. It's challenging, especially this time of year, with as much working with the golf course, but also, all the laundry. Basically, the way I try and say it is, you guys cut your grass at least once a week. We're on each pond once a month. Algae goes a lot faster than grass does, and it actually recycle in between the time when we treat it and we come back. So what we've been trying to do here is we've been working on a couple different nutrient remediation methods. We've used Metafloc in the past, I think pond 25 and a couple other ponds last year. Even this year we were very successful in getting some of the problem ponds under control. This year, pond 6 has been a bugbear, pond 28, pond 12 are kind of have been really the major ones. And I just here with our asking about pond 28. And that's been our main focus for the past couple of months, is trying to get pond 28. And we've done our general maintenance services, we've actually done a little bit more. And then we met with Mac and Vanessa because we're trying to find the root of the problem. We don't want to keep doing the same thing and hoping the results get better, but that's just not working. So that's why we came to them and we said, hey, we're going to do some water testing. That we don't charge you guys for that. We want to be a partner with you guys to help find the problem, see what the issue is with the ponds. So we did some water testing, and it did come back that the nutrient levels are very, very high in these ponds, which is what's causing the constant dumping. So part of the stuff we've done is, hey, we've done some different formulations to try and control the algae, trying to break it apart a little more. The next step is we do have some experimental things we were working on, and the pond 28 is going to be the product recipient of that here in the next week. Because we ordered some new product we're going to try out. It captures the phosphorus, brings it to the sediment, and actually captures the phosphorus in the sediment. So it keeps it from recycling. Because what happens is we treat it, we kill it, it dies, goes away a little bit, and then it can come back. All it takes is the rain, all it takes is some grass clippings, all it takes is a long hot day, and then everything kind of comes back up. So we're trying to break that cycle where we can get ahead of it, and I think we'll be successful with it. I mean, we had some problem ponds. I'm happy to say, generally we don't have the same problem ponds every single year. It's kind of different ponds. We kind of got on top of it, figured out. Pond 25 last year was a big bugbear. We did some Metafloc treatments, put the aeration system in there. It hasn't had, I'm not on the record, because algae pops up overnight. But yeah, things do pop up very quickly, and when they do, we respond to it. It's not common for us to have these recurring issues like they do. And that's not to say that all ponds don't or won't have algae at some point throughout the year. It's an expectation that ponds will have algae just by their nature. Again, stormwater retention ponds, they're meant to capture all the stuff that comes into the streets. So there will be some algae, there will be some growth, but our job is to make sure it doesn't get out of control. Ponds like pond 28, pond 6, pond 6 is a little more unique because the way it sits on the golf course on one side, and it kind of comes to that V where the water movement is there's no water movement, so the algae doesn't collect back there. So we're again coming up with another plan to come up and to get that with some water moving back in the area, so that way in that little cove the water isn't just stagnant sitting back there. We're very shallow. I did include, and I won't go through all the pages here, but we did go through and did a comprehensive report of all the ponds. We've got pictures of the ponds at the time of our visit. Made some basic recommendations on the pond for what we think maybe help you guys out. Again, if anybody wants a copy of it, I'll send it to Vanessa in the office there, and she can share it at her leisure.
Yes, please send it in a PDF format. That way, if residents want a copy of it, we can send it to them too.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, there's also a copy of the recent water quality tests with algae identification too, so you can kind of see what we're dealing with here. Other than that, it's been, it's summer's not over yet, far from over, but we are working hard. The crews are on site at least once a week, and we've been doing water quality testing, we've been doing additional treatments, we've been doing manual removal where necessary, and we're working to get it under control. I feel bad, I know pond 20, are you, last thing we met that one day? Yeah. So, we went around pond 28 a couple weeks ago, and that day was looking good, and then some days it looks good, some days it doesn't look so good. So we got to break that cycle of nutrient recycling. So that's kind of the focus right now.
Supervisor's questions.
Kathy? Kevin?
Yeah, so the new treatment that breaks the nutrient recycling,
Yes, sir.
what's it called?
It's called CDD. It's a new product. We've been using Metafloc and we like it a lot. We're going to try this new product. It's supposed to be a little more like an enhanced Metafloc. But again, we're not going to charge for it. We're doing it on our dime because It's going to be, again, I mean, it's perfectly safe, but we want to try and make sure it works before we propose it as a potential remediation.
Are you doing that for both pond 28 and pond 6, or only pond 28?
Pond 28 for right now. Pond 6, I think we're going to focus, I think we get that little surface area back there and that water, I think that'll be.
Okay, because we did get a quote from Solitude for a metafloc treatment for pond 6 and for a surface area for the cove where it's holding the algae. The proposal for the metafloc treatment was over $6,000 because it is based on the size of the pond. The proposal to install the surface aerator was around $2,000, which isn't that bad, but then you have to figure, we also need to install an electrical meter, so a minimum of an additional $1,000, you know, depending on the distance of the mooring. So just for that pond, that could be an almost $10,000 investment.
For the aerator
And the treatment.
and everything, 10 grand?
And the treatment.
I would say it'd be just under 10 grand. That's my estimate, yes.
Okay.
And I would like to clarify, the reason for that, the reason that this isn't part of the regular service is the nutrient remediation. Ponds are like people, you know, over time, they collect things like, you know, I care about a big piece of cheeseburger over here, I probably shouldn't have. But I did, and, you know, obviously, you know, if you eat a lot of cheeseburgers over time, you're gonna have heart trouble, and, you know, it's the same thing with the pond. The more stuff you put in the pond, the more it collects over time. And then it comes to a point like this where we gotta do some nutrient remediation. And that's not generally part of what we do as a regular service. That's why not every pond needs it. We don't want to come to you and say, hey, we're going to charge you for every pond nutrient remediation. We do it on a kind of, you know, on a singular basis.
Go ahead, finish, Kevin, go ahead.
I'm just trying to get a perspective on the cost of things, okay?
Well,
So,
we haven't approved that yet.
No, you're not approving it.
so $6 grand for the meta something or other.
Right, so the chemical for the nutrient remediation, which is
On 6,
on pond 6, correct.
$6,000.
It's over 6,000.
Okay. And then if we were to pay for the sea docks, is that what you said?
Correct, correct.
What would be the comparative cost of that, say, treatment on 6?
We looked at the cost of that. It'd be probably a little bit more, the sea docks, but again, I don't want to come to you guys. And say,
I'm not trying to negotiate here.
yeah,
I'm just trying to know directionally where we might go, that's all.
yeah, no,
It's a little bit more.
yeah, so it is a little bit more, but we want to make sure it works first. You know, a lot of these products come out and we have to make sure it's.
I have also a question for you about aeration. My understanding, which is very limited, about aerators is that we put them in not so much to control algae, but to control midge flies. In that the aerator would eventually drag enough oxygen down to the bottom so that the fish would go back down to the bottom and eat the larva of the midge flies and thereby kind of solve that problem. But what I thought I heard you say, somebody, is that you're using it also for algae control?
So, okay, aeration, so diffuse submerged aeration, so we're going to talk here. It's very similar to what you see in the fish tank. You got a little compressor that sits on the side, line runs down the bottom of the pond, and forces bubbles up. So it does a little bit of both, but in a different way. It's supposed to provide a less anaerobic, an aerobic environment that the fishes they don't like to grow in an aerobic environment. It doesn't do the whole pond, it doesn't prevent midges from occurring, but it does help to create more stable atmosphere. That does promote fish growth, and it does promote a more aerobic environment where, you know, the mosquito and the midge larvae don't like to be. They like to be where it's like, ducky, not moving.
Anaerobic, yeah.
And the second part to the algae, the reason the aeration systems work so well, it helps with the algae problem, is that it helps to destratify the lake, it helps to mix the lake water column up, and because at the very bottom, whenever we collect, we talked about, eating those cheeseburgers. Well, after all the years, the cheeseburgers go to the bottom of the pond, and they collect over time. Well, when you put the aeration systems down there, it kind of pushes the oxygen into it, forces it up, and then it helps to degrade it. Natural bacteria help to eat that sludge at the bottom of the pond. So it helps with that too.
you spend the 6,000 or the other alternative on the ponds, how long does that last? And, I mean, are we gonna be coming back in a year and asking for another 6,000, or if it doesn't last, what's plan B? I guess before I would approve any type of expenditure like that, I know you're not 100% guaranteed, but I'd like some type of guarantee that we're not gonna be sitting here in a year or two, you know, and then we're gonna be dealing with the same thing. And also, once you do it, if it is approved, how long does it take to take effect? Those are my two questions.
Very good question. So the answer to the first question is, you know, you guys have been great partners with us over the years, and, you know, you can't guarantee the product per se, but if you guys did make that investment, we would guarantee it. Let's say if the Meadowhawk didn't work, CDOT's is working, you know, we would come back and do it on our time. We would ensure that. So we would make sure we're going to find a workable solution. So, because sometimes we put something in there, and not just the Meadowhawk, but more herbicides, algicides. Sometimes the natural process doesn't work. So we have to come back out, treat again, and do it. So we would take care of you guys by ensuring that whatever we work with on Pond 6 in particular, we want to see that solution for you guys, especially in the back corner where that poor guy was.
I get, I'm sorry, Captain. The last thing I want to look at is ask you.
Microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry. The last thing I wanted to ask you about was that we do these treatments all the time, right? And more stuff goes into the ponds, settles down to the bottom. If you were to look down the road here in Grand Haven at the rate that things are going, where are we headed? In other words, if we're doing a long-term plan and we're going to spend a lot of money over time, is there something that we should be thinking about that would be a solution that is an eventuality, and it's going to be expensive? That's what I'm asking you. Are we going down the road, and are we going to, in 5, 7, 10 years from now, are we going to, at this rate, hit a point where all the things that you're doing today aren't working at an increasing rate of not working, and you're going to have to do something else radical to get back to an even keel? What do you think about that?
So that's a great question. How you navigate that is there's something. So again, over time, lakes change, they evolve, and the biggest thing we have to be concerned about is stormwater capacity. So if you have 4 feet of muck in a pit of stormwater, you're losing 40% of your stormwater capacity. What can be done is, you know, you always got to attack it from a scientific approach. You can't just say, hey, well, these ponds have to be dredged, these ponds have to be taken out. If it comes to that point and we're like, hey, you know, you guys have a lot of muck issues, there's a mapping, bathymetric mapping, where they go through each pond and to see how much mass is in the bottom of each pond. And then from there, they give you a report and they kind of say, okay, well, here's what your top 5% you got to worry about, and here's the rest of them, and they can kind of plan from there and see where it's going to go. So bathymetric mapping is good. I'm not sure we're quite there yet, because I don't hear from the guys that we have a lot. I mean, there is muck in all the ponds, but I haven't heard as much to the point that, wow, you know, like 4 or 5 feet of muck, that's not a clear problem for you guys.
Okay. Oh, you work with these guys to, yeah, okay.
So my question is kind of tails on Ben's suggestions. So it sounds to me like we need some kind of long-term plan and some kind of reserve for something if things come up. Like, to me, it sounds like this isn't what we're asking for to think that here, it isn't in our budget. Right? So if we don't have budget items for that, I think we need to take a look at it. Do we need to budget for something? I think a longer term plan, because it seems always, the cons are always coming up ever since I've been attending meetings on our board. It's always 1 or 2 all the time.
Yeah, so if I can give a little history on these 2 ponds in particular. Every year, there are ponds that have significant issues. In my experience, those issues last about 1 year. We do the things that we know work. We install aeration. We do the different treatments, the different algicides and herbicides. Typically by the next year, you never hear about that pond again. I don't know, Dr. Merrill and Kevin Foley, you might remember when residents were coming in and about Pond 25, saying they were going to move and we were ruining their property values. You haven't heard that since, correct? Those people, we haven't heard from them again. We did a metafloc treatment on that pond. That's a significantly smaller pond. It was the first time we did it. It was about $2,200 for that investment. We've not had an issue since. So we have had some success with the metafloc treatments. Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, but the CDOX is different from metafloc in the fact that it breaks down some of the nutrients at the bottom. It doesn't just trap it.
Yes.
Okay, so it probably, we don't have experience with that. It does sound like it's a little bit of an improvement over metafloc. The reason that we've become concerned about Pond 28 and Pond 6, they're in their second year of issues. They're in their second year, which isn't normal because we did put in the investment, we installed the irrigation, we did all the treatments, we went through a winter, a very cold winter, and we're right back to where we were last year. We haven't really seen any significant improvement. So I think both ponds probably need some type of extra investment into them. That's just my opinion.
So my point was more of, I guess, I don't know how long they've been a contract. Do we have historical data on the ponds? And which ponds required actions that weren't in the budget, and how much it was over the course of the last 5 years?
Yeah, we don't have too much other than, so.
It sounds like when you start tracking that, so we can
Yeah.
have the budget, that's so, and I'm like, yes, if we expect 1 or 2 ponds have an issue, we're gonna need $10,000-$15,000 every year to keep that.
So what you do budget for is aerator installation. So we do budget for that every year, and we choose the locations of those aerators based on the pond conditions from the previous year. Fish kills take precedent, and then midge flies, and then algae. So we do run a report from our records to make the decision each year which ponds are going to get aeration based on what's budgeted.
Well, we don't have a specific budget item for, like, if 2 ponds have an issue, it's cost us.
No, so say for example, we have midge flies and we want to stock fish. We take that out of community maintenance typically.
I think you have a good point that we have to be a little bit more specific in the budget purposes. It seems, at least in the time that I've been on the board, that the ponds are frustrating to me. And I know 28 and 6 have gotten a lot of press, but Vanessa knows because I complain to her all the time. Ponds around where I live look horrible right now. And it just shows, I mean, I don't know when these pictures were taken, but I took a similar one of Pond 8 today, and it looks terrible. It looks absolutely terrible. It's full of algae. And I don't understand, I don't have any pretense in understanding ponds. It doesn't seem to me that the nutrient loads are necessarily related to size. It does seem that the ponds that have the cement retaining walls are better off than the ones that don't, and that might attest to the fact that they get less lawn nutrients. But I get the feeling that this is forever will be an issue for people who have retention ponds, and that different ponds will pop up within different years. And I have to agree, I think we need to make it more scientific. We need to have record keeping like this, but then it has to say in 2026 this pond received this special attention, so that we can track to see how long these different products work, and then we can better prepare our budget so that we can, we don't have to be taking it out of the community source. But I really think we need better scientific data and historical data what happens with the ponds.
Yeah, I think this is a great start.
Yes.
I think each pond data is there associated with what it is. And so you can pull it all together and say, over the last X amount of time, we've had these are issues with the ponds, or whatever, what we've done. So maybe you can start seeing that, okay, this pond's been treated well, this, we've never had an issue with that, but these ponds haven't. Just kind of get an idea. Plus, I think, like, talk about budget, dollars in the budget for aeration, like aerators, right? How many ponds do you have, and how many of them have aerators? How many do we think we're going to need? And at some point, you won't need them anymore if you fill all the ponds with aerators. It'd be nice to know how many have them, and then maybe we're saying, okay, if they're.
And I think Vanessa has that. And I think, Vanessa, you've started historically kind of looking at different ponds, but once again, I think we have to do it for all of them. You know, we got to get better, because it seems like we go down the same road too many times. And I understand that each pond has its own idiosyncrasies, but I think we need to do better.
I just think we want to be fair to what water system.
Yeah.
You're saying every year,
And,
we have 2 ponds every year. It's like, let's have the money for it.
I've been trying to be patient. I just wanted to chip in. So their contract is, and the chemicals that they're due the once or twice a month that they're here.
That's part of their contract.
That's part of their contract. The Metaflock obviously is additional. What's in your budget this year is an additional $50,000 for stormwater maintenance. We haven't, you'll see in the narrative, there's no definition in there. It's intended for a robust system that is preventative and planned. So there's $50,000 in there. I'm not saying that's what that's for. I'm saying that is a budget item. So we are looking to start focusing more on how we're going to budget and take care of the stormwater system. I think it's a larger issue than algae. I think we're looking at stormwater ponds, any erosion, the periodic plan maintenance of checking culverts where there's outfall structures. I mean, it's a big thing. So what I'm hearing from the board, and I think what Vanessa and I are hearing, is we need to come back to you and with some additional information. We can certainly start tracking these things on our side. I know, Adam, you guys track that on your side. I could always say, hey, give me everything that you've done in Pond 6, and you can pull that up. We have a portal that we can go do that, but we also have a partner that can pull that stuff for us so that they can tell us. Here beyond the better record keeping. What I want to ask the board is if we could, it's okay, we've got a full agenda, we had a 5 o'clock public hearing, it's 4:05, still have a bunch, but if we need to bring this back more, we can certainly partner with Adam and bring this back in a workshop. But I think we hear what you're saying. There's $100,000 in the capital plan. There's $100,000 in the capital plan for stormwater repairs or infrastructure repairs. There's $50,000 a new item in the budget for stormwater maintenance. I think we can get there to spend some money, but I'm hesitant to say it's for Metaflock or these other things that are being presented. If we need to do them periodically, fine. Maybe we need to look at the budget under their contract or under community maintenance and say we need to make sure that there's a portion of that and define that dollar amount for the year or what we're going to spend. So we need to come back with a plan.
Okay, but I would just, if any of the residents have a question or comment that has not been discussed, please raise your hand and we'll recognize you. Okay, I just want to make sure that everybody, we're cognizant of what you've said but we have to make a decision about the pond.
I think you should give direction to Vanessa or staff on whether you're going to
give her a not to exceed. She has a not to exceed amount. I think we're just hesitant to spend the money without you knowing exactly what's going on and having this presentation. So
let me just go back 1 minute. I'd like to know, Adam, if our community is pretty much in alliance with what is happening in other community ponds or communities that you maintain their ponds, or are we different, unique, have more problems?
I will say, what I'll say is I think you guys are light years ahead in most other places. How proactive you guys are with the aeration, with doing the work, working with the staff. You guys are light years ahead of most of the companies, most of the places. Most of the places don't invest in their ponds. They don't care about it like you guys do. So they see a lot more problems. I mean, even the pond, post park ponds, driving in here, you may be covered with algae too. It's that time of year, and now it's going everywhere. So, but no, you guys are doing fantastic. My closing thing is that number one is those photos came last week. It wasn't like a long time ago. Nate came out here last week, our account manager, went to every single pond, got pictures, prepared a report, and gave to you guys today. Algae can't pop up. I don't know what it looked like last week. I can't speak to that, but I can say it does pop up overnight. And I am going to incorporate. We're going to do an annual report for you guys that has. It'll be like this. What I gave you here. It'll be a little more expanded with, hey, this pond 6 has aeration. Pond 6 had fish stocking. Pond 6 had metaphor treatment on this day. So
That's great. That's what we want. That's what we want, so we can track the history to see what happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't want you for you guys. That way, things come up.
That's great, thank you. Michael, only if it hasn't been covered.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure I understand. So the contract focuses on what you're saying. It's the algae and all those things. But then I heard Max talking about the flooding and all the work with the ponds. That the pond's main thing is to control flooding, right?
Correct.
And you have no responsibility in that area at all.
Yeah, they look at that.
Yes.
Oh, you do? Okay. I didn't hear that. That's
Yeah.
why.
Yes.
That's why I got confused.
Yeah, so there is structures that we don't maintain, like the weirs and the outfall structure, the concrete structure. We don't maintain that, and the engineer scopes that and then sends that in. But we do watch it for you if we see something cracked, something broken, what we report it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, board, so we're down to, thank you, Adam, thank you.
Thank you.
So the question is whether we are getting the new treatment free of charge in Pond 28, correct? Okay. Second is, do we want to put an additional aerator in Pond 6, which will be approximately 1,000 electricity and 2,000, so 3,000 for that. And then do we want to put an additional $6,000 worth of Metaflox in the pool, in the pond?
It's recommended.
It's recommended, yes.
In addition to that.
So what they're putting in Pond 28 is different.
It's a newer product that has a little better attributes as far as disruption of the nutrients, whereas the Metaflox sinks it, is that
Right,
correct?
they both sink it, bind it to the bottom. The new treatment is supposed to help break it up, where the Metaflox just holds it.
Okay. So the question is, do we want to spend $9,000 on Pond 6?
I think you need to, Vanessa.
Yeah, we could also have them quote us for the other stuff too.
Yep.
To see what the price difference is, if it's really better.
Well, I think he said he's not sure.
Okay, this question, can we get to see if it works better in that other pond?
We can.
The
residents might.
I'm going to say this. Looking at it scientifically, if you do two things at the same time, you're not going to know which one helped it the most. You're not going to know if the aeration was the key to solve the problem or the chemical was. I would be in favor of going ahead with the aeration and waiting on the chemical treatment.
So let me be clear about that. Pond 6 already has submerged aeration. This additional aerator
is to
would
make
just
it
be a
move.
surface aerator for just one corner of the pond, where that pipe goes in, so it is more shallow, and just the wind's blowing in that corner, it's being stuck there, so those residents are suffering. We do have other trouble areas within the community similar to that. They could, if this works, great, maybe that's an idea to solve those areas as well. We could move forward with the aerator first, see how the treatments go in Pond 28 before we make a decision about the chemical treatments for Pond 6.
That's what I would be in favor of.
That was
All right.
Kevin, Kathy? Okay.
We have spending authority with that new spending authority policy that was highlighted in your video. We could have moved forward with this and just gave you an update, but Vanessa's wise beyond me. Sometimes I just want to get things done. She wanted to make sure you had a full understanding of what was happening, so that's why we brought it to you. She brought it to you. So if you're okay with it, she can approve the surface aerator. It's within our spending authority, so just there's no objection to that, right? We'll just move in that direction.
My only question is to make sure that when we do spend money like that we can see the budget track for those items, so we can split it out.
Split out or increase the
Have to be in
pond.
there, but,
Right.
okay, that needs to be.
It would be in your budget under aeration, but to see specifically each line item and everything that was in that line item is a GL report.
But you'd be able to see that.
Anything that's in the budget that, let's say you coded something to community maintenance, there's probably 1,000 items in there, I'm over exaggerating. What do you need? Do you want a GL report? Is that what you're asking for?
I'm just saying, if I wanted to go to that GL and look at those items, I would see it.
You can't have access to the QuickBooks, but we can give you a GL report and then you can see it.
No, my question is not me seeing it, it's just that the data is there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
That's all right. All right, we good?
Yep.
Can I ask a quick question?
We need to,
I just want to confirm which end of the pond 6 we're talking about.
We're talking about the north end.
For pond 6 for the surface aerator,
Yeah.
it's not either end, it's the corner there.
It's near the road you're talking about, right?
what's the name of the road?
For players.
I think it's Players. Isn't it?
Yeah, okay. All right, vámonos. Venga, Copic.
All right, we're going to move out of order. We're going to take the insurance companies out of order for their presentations. We have both Brown & Brown and Aegis here. We'll welcome Brown & Brown. Mr. Costa, open.
Can you previous names, Mac?
Say it. This is Brown & Brown.
Prior name? It's always been Brown & Brown?
Pidgeot is I think the carrier that they were, but Brown & Brown is the agency.
Okay, Pidgeot, okay.
I'm trying to pull your proposal up here.
Thank you.
Strong programs, whether you go with theirs or you stick with, the one that we have between Aegis and Pidgeot. These are the two kind of premier programs for community development districts throughout the state. So I think you've got kind of good hands either way. Just want to start off, I put a presentation together, introduce myself quick. So Brown & Brown, we're right on the road in Daytona Beach. We were founded there in 1939, and that is our corporate headquarters today. So I work for the public entity division. All I do is pull the public sector. So we do cities, towns, counties, and we have over 125 special districts that we insure. So if you want to kind of flip to, we're going to be on this page right here.
Okay, thank you. I'll just get to the proposal part.
So what we've got in front of you is a premium that is really reflective of, so right now we're in, I would say, an extremely soft market that's driven by competition. As a current agent, I really want to premium on the top, decided to go back to the carrier and look for additional savings like that. So I did that, and they came back with a premium that's so that's going to represent a total savings of about $34,000, and over the 2 years that as an agent, that's about $61,000 that we delivered in savings. So this price premium is going to be with a 2-year rate lock as well. So this will lock in rates for the next 2 years. So we'll just be updating exposures next year. It would be basically a relatively simple renewal. And this program through Pidgeot, which is the preferred renewal insurance trust. So the next page here. It's a lot more than just an insurance package, and I've got some coverage highlights here. But one thing I just want to highlight is, in addition to the insurance premium that you're paying, you get a full suite of risk management resources as well. So there's a dedicated loss control agent, and then you've got training resources that are always there. And then one of the biggest things is you want to know how the insurance is going to respond to the need the most. So if the natural, say, you have hurricane come through, so there's resources built in to be on site immediately with dehumidifiers, anything that you need to help mitigate losses. So that's all been built into the insurance, is to use public preferred priority response, and that's basically your built-in response when a disaster occurs. There's different companies that are vetted, and they go through this, and this is all kind of done in a format that allows you to submit it directly to FEMA and helps you get money back as quickly as possible. One of the other benefits I want to mention is they have the TIPS program, which is a $5,000 matching grant. The district actually qualified for that this year, so there's a check coming their way for $4,977. What that is a matching grant for anything that the district purchases that can relate to loss control resources. So it's a matching, so 50-50, you spend $10,000, you get $5,000 back. So the district has earned that this year. And again, the remainder of this is just going through those additional services that we have. So if there's any questions, I'm here to answer them. What we have in front of you is
One clarification, the qualified return of $4,977, that was because of Brooke?
Correct.
Okay, so explain that so everybody understands it.
Sure. Brooke Brendel, our executive administrative assistant, who happens to be sitting in the audience currently, she put in the work to submit some information to the insurance company through a program called the TIPS program. And she got all the documentation and submitted it successfully and was able to get that reimbursement for the district. So the insurance company is actually going to be presenting the district with a check. We're going to schedule it. And we'll have Brooke accept the check since she put the work in.
Okay, supervisors, questions, these gentlemen?
My only question, more and more out of ignorance than anything else, is with the reduction in the premium, how has our coverage, I know you mentioned a few things, but.
What changed?
Yeah.
Nothing. So it's actually gotten a little bit better. I kind of previously that if you go to this page, I put some, so the very next page that's on. I put some coverage enhancements on there. So there's been increases to certain property coverages. There's also been increases to cyber coverages, which are not really cyber exposure here, so there's insurance for that. And then, I just want to note too on our public officials and employment practice liability, which is coverage for essentially board decisions and that sort of thing. We do have an occurrence limit of $1 million per occurrence. There's no aggregate, so that reloads for each loss. And that defense costs are outside of that, so it's a very comprehensive program when it comes to insurance losses.
Kyle, I have a question, if the board's okay with that. Could you just outline the two difference in deductibles? One normal loss, the other one hurricane loss.
Yeah, so the typical, the normal loss that we have is a $2,500 deductible, and then that's for what we call all of the perils. That's lightning, that's a rainstorm that comes through, that's a vehicle hitting a building. The other one is our named storm deductible, so when a hurricane comes. That's 5%, so that's going to be the value, the scheduled value of the location. 5% of that is your hurricane deductible. What we do, so if there is a claim, we will work with the adjusters and work with the TPA and get those submitted, and then it's also done in a format where we can pop up FEMA and assist with your reimbursement claim to hopefully recapture that deductible and all the out-of-pocket expenses that come with hurricane loss.
My last question, the handout that you have today, is that price differ than what's in the, than what you submitted to me that's in the agenda?
Yes.
So you've changed your price? Okay.
So that was in my question. So on page 3, it says the premium is 114 over 2. That's the total?
That's the total premium.
Can you answer what changed it?
Sure. So as your agent, I went back and I went to Fidget, and like I said, this market is driven by competition. Fidget's been paying losses on this, and they don't want to lose the account, so I was able to get some more savings from them. I had a proposal with me, so that's how they came back. This is happening throughout the state. It's a very competitive environment.
I have some more questions.
So Howard, in 5% deductible for the value of our assets, what is that, the depreciated value of the assets?
It's replacement costs, so based on the scheduled values, and we'll do an appraisal and I'll get the updated values, but that's how they're scheduled now.
Replacement costs.
According to us.
And how does that differ from what we have today?
That's what you have today.
Oh, same thing?
Same, yeah, same.
Okay, I thought it was different.
No, that hasn't changed.
Okay, so I guess the question that is on my mind is, these guys, Vanessa and Howard, went out and asked these bids, right?
Yes, sir.
As far as I know, we really haven't done that in the past, a lot.
You only did it, I think, last year.
Well, yeah, so last year, you moved to us, so the 25-26 period is our first time insuring the district. So this was kind of put out last renewal and put it off, it was getting us to, and put it off coverage from them, and this is kind of second process.
So this is a practice that we should do every year. We should go out, right, to Pidgeot or wherever.
Well, we're going to see if you can hit 5, and I think we're getting pretty close, but, so that's why they put a 2-year rate here and see if it's well, because we're in a very soft market, and, you know, the market has absorbed, you know, a lot throughout the years, but we're kind of at a point where it hasn't tipped, and, you know, we can absorb a big storm coming through, but eventually we're going to see rates start to go up again. So this isn't going to be kind of we said it could last for about 5 years, but I don't see that happening.
Does the 2 years require a 2-year commitment from us, or is it just a lot?
Yeah, it's just a rate guarantee. I mean, they would prefer that, but it's just saying that, you know, we're going to guarantee the rates for 2 years, and then it's just getting exposure up to the next year.
So, two questions. What was our, I don't know if you noticed, what was our 2025 cost?
And then 2025 cost was $148,538. The 2024 cost was $175,000. So I'm telling you, it's been a soft market. It's just been kind of getting better year after year.
And this is, you said it's a reduction. So the quote that we previously had was how much?
So the previous quote.
I don't have the total up there.
It really doesn't exist.
I think it's like 125 and some change.
Just the number you have in front of you is the new quote.
So you're at 114 on
Thank you, Kyle.
Appreciate it. Oh, good.
You have one more question, go ahead.
What's in our budget?
160. But I've revised that, so when we get into the public hearing, I saw the prices that are in the agenda and I revised it downward.
I just want to make sure we have it.
That's gonna have an impact on the assessments, definitely. It's gonna lower it. All right, at this time, we'll invite Mr. Brent Grimmel and looks like Andy Jimenez from Aegis FIA. Thank you, Kyle. You have the floor, sir.
I did have a chance to look through the agenda package, so my comparison actually is comparing about, against what was in your package, not what was just given today, since I wasn't officially a public record yet. But I do have a comparison against what I was able to view online yesterday. First off, you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
speak here today. Before I get into our proposal, a brief bio about myself and our firm. So my name is Brent Rimmel. I'm the Senior Vice President of Agency Operations for Aegis Insurance and Risk Advisors. We're the leading insurance firm for Florida Special Taxing Districts, currently serving just over 1,000 special districts in the state, with the lion's share of those being CDDs. We did have the privilege of serving Grand Haven from 2010 up until last year. Unfortunately, when the switch was made over to Brown last year, we were not given notice to provide a renewal proposal, so it was made, which was not really a competitive bid process. It was just a full switch over from expired terms. So this year, we do have the opportunity to provide a competitive proposal to you. That being said, during our time that we were providing services and speaking to risk services that the different carriers provide, I personally was here in 2020 after some bad storm damage and helped to assess the property schedule and go through everything with the risk services team. And then again in 2024, we conducted the risk services visit. So the carrier typically about every 3 to 4 years, sometimes more often than that, they'll do a complimentary kind of asset review as well as a risk services visit for you. Now, before I jump into our comparison and our coverages being quoted, I did want to introduce Andy Jimenez with Florida Insurance Alliance to give you a brief bio of the carrier.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Andy Jimenez. I'm the Executive Vice President of Risk and Cost Operations, and I serve as the Managing Director of the Florida Insurance Alliance. So I know we've talked a lot about different names of little confusing. We have Brown & Brown, which is Aegis, and Aegis, who is the governmental trust, that's the carrier. Aegis is the insurance broker, and then FIA, Florida Insurance Alliance, is the insurance carrier. So some of you may be familiar with FIA. We were the provider of insurance and risk management services since 2012 to 2025. And the reason why I'm here is because I think it's important for you guys to hear not just from the agency side, but also from the carrier that's going to ultimately be the one responsible for making coverage determinations, for assigning the claims to the defense counsel, and for assessing the damages to the district. As I drove in here, I realized that I was here before in 2016, following Hurricane Matthew, so you guys cleaned up nicely. I don't know how many of you were here in 2016. But I wanted to, if you're not familiar with FIA, I wanted to talk a little bit about who we are and what we do. FIA is a government insurance trust that was created by special districts for special districts. And it occurred in 2011, the insurance carrier at the time that was insuring the majority of community development districts decided that they no longer had the appetite for the liability exposure created by the public officials. So they started not renewing a lot of community development districts, and that created an issue for a lot of CDDs because they had no other insurance carrier, no other insurance market who would be willing to come in. So through interlocal agreements, a handful of CDDs got together and created the Florida Insurance Alliance. We started in 2011 with about 35 or so districts, and we now have over 1,400 members, including the vast majority of the special districts. I say that not to comment just about our presence in the special district, but just to show that this is what we do, this is our niche, this is what we specialize in. And apparently it was a valued member for us since 2011. The reason why you guys switched over was because your current carrier, unfortunately, had not renewed you. So we went from PIGET to FIA in 2025, you guys switched back from FIA to PIGET. I have nothing but respect for the PIGET team. I know them very well. I presented in conferences with them. They have a very good program. And what they do best is work with counties and cities, with larger public entities. Our niche, our focus, as it seems, has always been on smaller local governmental entities, and we also work with public charter schools. I wanted to see if you guys had any questions regarding the coverages. I know the President went over the proposal. In the time that you guys with us, I used to look it up right now, we paid approximately $750,000 in claims between Hurricane Matthew, Hurricane Milton, lots of triple fault claims. I know that the district has made a big investment in repairing the sidewalks. I also became a little bit of an expert in bocce ball because of the triple fault claims that we received from the bocce ball courts. So if you have any questions regarding your services, your claims, the coverage, the deductibles, I'm here to answer any questions you may have. Let me go with you. Oh, yeah, here, one last thing. So, I think the PICS program that Pigeon has is a great program. And it really encourages districts to invest in safety, not just of staff, but also of residents as well. You're not losing that benefit with FIA. We've had the Safety Partners program since 2014. It's a matching program, limit up to $5,000 as well. So our marketing people are not as savvy, so we don't take a picture with a big check. Unfortunately, we send it to you, maybe we should start doing that, but we wouldn't lose that benefit with us.
Thank you. So now just jumping into our proposals and our comparisons, as you will see, as quoted, we have a package proposal for the 26-27 fiscal year of $125,399. Or sorry, that's just ridiculous. 105,593 in workers' comp, and an additional 9,157. Sorry for the scare there. Overall, with the comparison, I kind of just try to highlight, give you the executive summary here. I would say in terms of deductibles, coverage limits, and things like that, they're fairly apples to apples. Preferred did add some coverage enhancements to their property program from last year. I did previously provide a policy comparison of that to the expiring, and actually had to update this yesterday when I noticed that they did make quite a few robust enhancements to property supplements. A couple of things I would like to highlight though. I know Colin mentioned the cyber exposure. All districts do have a cyber exposure, and we are seeing that becoming a growing trend in the state of Florida, especially targeting public entities. Both have matching limits of $2 million per cyber claim. For breach response to as well the limit, social engineering, they're both at $500,000. The biggest difference between the two carriers is with FIA, there's no cyber deductible. As with Preferred, it's a $25,000 deductible, so that's what the exposure the district would retain with that cyber program. Outside of that, the flood and earth movement sublimits, I did notice that with their program, it's limited to $2.5 million per loss, which you would think that's pretty decent, but this building that we're standing in has a value of $3.7 million. So you're definitely not getting full value flood or earth movement coverage. Whereas with FIA, you are doing that. Other than that, as you can kind of look through, there's not really any key differences. Did mention with I believe Kyle mentioned with the public officials liability that yes, Preferred is on a current form, which is $1 million with no ag. FIA does have a $2 million aggregate limitation, but the lion's share of those claims would be subject to the Florida tort caps of currently 200 per occurrence, 300 aggregate. So you do have, it's very unlikely that you would have repeated $1 million claims that would become a problem of piercing a $2 million aggregate. Aside from that, just a brief backstory. I know Andy did mention a little bit about the changeover. So our firm, we were providing services to the district back in 2010, which predates the creation of FIA. At that time, we were appointed with Preferred Governmental Insurance Trust and providing services to them. Grand Haven was on that list of districts that were telling renewed back in 2012, and that's when we made the decision to switch all coverages into the FIA program, who has been the carrier from 2012 all the way into last year.
Board, I just have the same question. Can you just re-outline for us the difference between the two deductibles, a regular deductible or a named storm deductible?
Sure. Same as at the other program, both pay, the property policy pays replacement cost. For named storm, it's 5% of the scheduled value, subject to a minimum deductible of $10,000. Identical to what you see in Preferred, and I have it outlined here in comparison. Everything else within FIA, which are not considered a high hazard flood zone, is just a $2,500. All the perils or all the different deductibles are $2,500. So if it's a named storm that's been declared by NOAA, not a tornado, but an actual like hurricane or something like that, then it's going to be the 5% of the scheduled value of the building plus common value. Exact same as with your current program.
I have further comments about the two proposals, but that's at board level. The only other question, I don't have a question, I have a statement. Pause for dramatic effect. What do you think of the 2-year warranty or the guarantee?
I was going to tee up to Andy to respond to that actually from the carrier perspective, but I can't make underwriting decisions without it, we have to assess it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It's always, it's good to lock in with rate, but you never know if it's going to go lower. So does a lock at a higher rate, or is the carrier going to come down and re-underwrite against your account if the market keeps up? Because what Alex is absolutely correct. We are seeing the property market soften by the week, which is great for us homeowners, it's great for us as a district, because we're getting, as you can see, comparing to 2-3 years ago, significant savings on the property. Overall, what's happening in Florida is really good from an insurance perspective. We have more capacity entering the state, we have more carriers entering the state. 3 or 4 years ago, we had carriers leaving the state, going insolvent. Right? We're starting to see lower deductibles come in. So I think the rate lock is a good idea. It's something that if you guys are interested, we can also lock the rate that you currently have now. But we'll also go a step further, and I believe that Cambridge will do this as well, because they understand how the market is, that if the market does soften, we could readjust the rate to make sure that you are not locked into a higher rate. Right? So it protects you from the rate going up, but you still be able to renegotiate your rate from your insurance if it comes down. Right?
Thank you for that clarification. That's all I have until board level discussion.
I just have one question, and this is more general. So when you're talking about the deductible, is it per item that you submit? It's like if we have 2 buildings that have damage, is it deductible or is it the total between them one deductible?
So it's the total insured value. By the way, I don't want to speak for Page or Brown and Brown, because the deductible damage is very similar. It's the total insured value for that item. So let's say this is a $3 million building with $500,000 in contents. So it's $3.5 million. You would be 5% of that $3.5 million. Now, if you have a playground next to you that's insured for $10,000, it's 5% of $10,000. Right? So once your minimum deductible is met, which is $10,000, which would be in a hurricane, unfortunately, will be met really quickly. It's just 5% of each item and their contents, the total insured value of each item. So each building hits out at 5% of it.
Other questions?
I have a question. Since I'm new, is this something that we do every year? Look at the insurance companies to see what they have to offer? And that's my first question. My second question is there any way, and it sounds like we've had these 2 different insurance companies over the last, I guess 15 years or so, maybe more. So my next question is there a way that you can tell us if you've been happy with them, or have you had a problem filing with them? Because you can have, I'm not saying that you're doing this, but you can have an insurance company that comes in and says, well, I'm gonna, this is gonna be a lower price, but we may have had a problem with that insurance company before, and there's a reason why we don't have them now. So I guess, my question is first, is this something that happens every year? And the second one is, how do we know if you've had a problem with the other one we already have?
Kathy, this is not something that we do every year.
Okay.
And I think the issue of discussing how the insurance companies have performed, we can do that on the board level after we.
Yeah, but if there's no other questions for them, I will answer that question. And then if Vanessa wants to add anything, she can as well.
So what we can get from, what we can get in terms of the premium, if we were to do a lock for 2 years, we would get the lower of the 115 total, or whatever the whatever the premium.
Whatever the market dictates at that time.
Yeah.
So that would be the highest, and it could potentially go lower.
Yeah.
Could the market continue that?
Yeah.
Okay. We're good?
All right, so a comment, try to answer the questions. when I got here, part of the operational audit I did, or the review that I did for the district, I met with Vanessa, we went over insurance. Actually, I gotta tell you, Kyle was very helpful. I appreciate that because he knew exactly what I was doing. He's been doing this a while and has Aegis. I immediately dug in and started looking at what we had just so I could figure it out from a budget standpoint. I mean, we were right when I got here, we were right into the budget. I had no time to waste, right? So with a projected increase, because we didn't know what the legislature was going to do with some of the laws with sovereign immunity, there was some, we got to wait and see what happens. So this is literally changing, as somebody said earlier, by the week up until we got a conclusion of where we stand with sovereign immunity and the limits. So with that, I reached out to Pidgeot and asked some questions, and I looked at some things, and I noticed some areas of opportunity. Number one, some coverage limits that were not correct, or well, I would say coverage limits that were not accurate. We had additional assets we needed to add or revisions, and Brooke and Vanessa were awesome. And Donna, they got me all the information. The team got me all the information. Even the field ops was involved in that. So I think we're very confident that it's apples to apples on as close we can get on the property for what's covered. The biggest issue that I found was in the workers' comp number, which I believe both companies at one time or another did not have the right amount. It was a significantly low amount for payroll. I corrected that, sent them that, asked both companies to provide me proposals, and we got updated coverages. Both of them have provided that. It is not typical that we'll go out for bid every year. We're in a different environment. The market is softening, as you've heard. It's very competitive right now. This is the most competitive I've seen it, and I've been doing this almost 20 years. This is the most competitive I've seen it, so my hat's off to both companies. Both are stellar in their approach to claims. The only thing I will echo is I was your district manager. I was here at the time, I believe, when Pidgeot decided to not renew. I was either your district manager or I was sitting in John's seat, but I was here. And it was a struggle at first, but we got it taken care of. And now that I'm back, I would say that Pidgeot did good by the district on the last claim. I think they're actively involved. They care about your community. I think that FIA cares about your community. They had your business for a long period of time. For me, it comes down to, if I pick up the phone, are you going to answer? Both of them do. Arguably, I've had a longer relationship, unfortunately, Kyle with FIA. But David did his due diligence on the insurance, and that's how you ended up with Pidgeot. David called me. I wasn't your district manager. David called me and asked me to review the proposal, and I noticed one thing and sent it back to him, and that had to do with the deductibles and for the name Storm, and I think that's now apples to apples for both companies. So with that, I think it comes down to me, it comes down to not so much how I feel about something, but the history of it, and both of them are good, but we have a budget to wrestle, and no matter which way you go, you're gonna do some savings, but there seems to be a $7,900 right around there difference. You could argue, looking at some of the comparisons that FIA provided you, but I haven't had a chance to really digest into that, but it looks similar, and there's some differences there that probably favor FIA. I think both of them took the opportunity to look at each other's proposals and sharpen their pencils and come here, but FIA did not change their numbers, and it's still at 105 for the 105,593 for the bundle, and then $9,157.66 for the workers' comp, so that's $114,750, and it looks like Pidgeot's at $122,685, so the decision's in your court.
Real quick.
About a $7,900 difference.
I'm sorry, did you want to say something, Kyle?
Yeah,
Please give him an opportunity if I misspoke or something.
Are all the numbers 114
Yeah,
Workers' comp though?
It does.
115, yeah, 115, yeah.
Okay, so I misspoke. So your 114,032 is all in,
Yep.
For workers' comp. Can you just give me the workers' comp number individually out of that bundle? I might be able to look in it and find it real quick. Was it 8 or something?
Workers' comp, looks like 9158. Could you?
All right.
86.
Could you clarify for the record that I was wrong on the number, so $114,032?
Our workers' compensation is $8,633.
633. Okay, that's the number I have here. Thanks.
Yeah. So Howard, or these guys, one or the other, I just need a clarification about something. So when I look at the line item that says, excuse me, debris removal, I'm presuming that's after a storm.
Comparison?
Huh? Yeah. Yeah, this is very helpful.
Please give a copy of this to, would you be amenable to giving a copy of this to Kyle?
Yeah, this is helpful. I'm not even sure what I'm looking at, but I'm gonna ask you a question anyways, okay? There's a line item there that says debris removal. That is, when we have storms, a pretty big item, right?
It's debris of the buildings and infrastructure that are vertical, am I correct? It's not trees and that kind of stuff.
Oh, it's not?
You could do trees, first get a tree that's laying over a top structure. The cost to remove that tree would be obviously remove it and then inspect it and to repair it. So the cost of removing that debris would be something.
Okay.
Also, cost of removing debris that's on covered property. You have a billboard that flies into the pool, for instance. The cost to remove that billboard will be part of the.
Yeah.
What about?
The overall debris from the Lake Matthew and Irma.
It's not down trees.
That depends on what they knock down.
Right, but if it's on the road, it's not.
Yeah, but now you need to have access to the road. If it's blocking access to the road, then that could potentially fall under the removal. But the vast majority of like the debris removal is what is with the FEMA. And the recoveries that the division have had a big portion, particularly after Matthew, because Matthew hit us. It had been a long time since the hurricane came by to kind of shake things up. So there was a huge amount of debris removal after Matthew. And I think the majority of the FEMA submissions were for the debris removal.
Yeah. So Scott, what the numbers that we had with four Cs, we paid them, let's say we paid them $500,000. That's separate and distinct. That's not in, that kind of coverage is not in here. Is that correct?
I didn't hear a clear answer to that. I mean, to the extent that it's in the roads, which is a lot of what we experience. I thought I heard not included, and then I thought I heard if it was blocking access, it was included. So I don't know whether that means, just remove it to the side of the street or clean it up and take it away.
My apologies, I wasn't clear. Debris removal just on sidewalks, typically, and I don't want to speak for patients, but typically the way the policy reads is that would not be included. Now, there is a business income component to the claim. If you have direct physical damage, it is in the carrier's best interest for you to get in, make sure that you clean up the facility, and if there's a restaurant or a bar or anything like that, if we have direct physical damage, now you have potentially business income loss. So it's in the carrier's best interest for you to clean up and have access to that facility to be able to get back up and running. And otherwise you have also business interruption claim where you need to bring generators or a portable for a temporary office or something like that. That will be part of the business interruption claim. So it's hard to answer some hypotheticals on the claims, but typically it makes sense. I mean, I just want to speak to the intent of the policy, which is to remove the debris from covered structures. If there's debris that needs to be removed in order to access a building, to be able to clean it up and repair it, then we'll consider that as part of the claim as well. I can't speak for Pigeon. They may have a broader or more narrow definition of what's debris removal, but I can speak for the way that we handle the claims.
Okay, so let me ask you a question then. Our experience with collecting from FEMA recently is not what you would call terrific. Is there insurance that we could buy from you that would essentially replace FEMA in terms of road cleanup?
On the cleanup, not.
Because that's a big deal for us. I mean, we spent $500,000. We're down $700,000 or so right now.
Matthew.
Huh? Yeah.
432,000 with Matthew.
Yeah.
How much of that was recovered through FEMA?
A lot, a whole lot of it, but then we spent, with Milton, I guess it was, we spent $160,000 and we're not getting any of that.
Through the policy, we wouldn't be able to include that it is not covered by the policy. And I can't speak for Pidgeot. I've never seen them do that, but we have to ask them directly. So what we can do obviously is assist in the FEMA claim. I know it's a pain. I know that sometimes there's fallback provisions where you get money and then all of a sudden ask for money back.
Yeah.
And also, a couple of months ago, maybe a year ago now, there was a bunch of people that not FEMA was going to be around. And then we had the flood in Texas, and then that talk stopped.
Right.
Every time there's a storm, there's a new FEMA grant, and every time it's a little bit different. And I wouldn't necessarily count with FEMA to be around for every single claim. So we never know what the government's going to do with FEMA. It's going to be more in the state, or it's going to be still
Yeah, I know. I know. I guess where my thinking is evolving here is I'm just sitting here, which is a very dangerous thing. But my question is that evolved to if we don't get reimbursed by FEMA, the primary, let's say, entity that we go to for recovery of all the cleanup costs that we have in our roads and everything to make them passable and then make them really neat and clean again and all that. Is it possible that you could get a secondary insurance thing so that at the end of the usual 4 years or something, that it takes FEMA to get back to you?
Okay.
That we could have, that there may be some coverage.
So to answer the question, it's like a pseudo coverage that's available called parametric insurance. It's kind of newer to the market. I put it to like kind of buying a lottery ticket. It's if there's a wind speed rating within a certain diameter or a certain range of the district, you get a set cash payout based on the wind speed at the time and all that. It's still a newer product, and my experience is that it's not typically worth the premium if you have to pay for it. I had actually quoted someone about a month ago for a policy for, I think they wanted a $3 million parametric policy, and very limited coverage. I think we looked at it, the most they would probably gotten in any given year for a Cat 3 level storm would have been about 30-something thousand. The policy was about 40.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, let's move on then.
Well, you gotta make a decision, so. There's about a $750 up or down rounded difference. You've heard from both of them. I'm not gonna speak anymore on these. I gotta work with both of
I think
them.
you should. I would like to know what your recommendation, at least I would. I'd like to know what your recommendation is.
I think Howard gave us his recommendation already.
As best I could. You're gonna have me in front of two people that I have to work with. When I pick up the phone and I call them, they answer, and I appreciate that. I've already said I've had a longer track record with one of the companies than I had the other, but they're back in the game, it sounds like. Everybody sharpened their pencil. I think it's a de minimis difference between the two. If you want to make a decision based on what you heard today, that would be appropriate. I don't think it would be appropriate for me. I think they're both competent companies, but
Okay.
I've given as far as I can give on a recommendation.
All right, let's take a vote. Okay. So, as has been commented, it's budgetary season. There is a $7,000 saving if we go with Aegis.
To be clear, they clarified it's only a $750 difference between Pidgeot and Pidgeot and FIA, and Pidgeot's slightly less by that $750 number annually. I think there's,
Because the workers' comp is included in
yes,
the 140.
workers' comp is included. He clarified that for me. I didn't
It's
have that.
included in what? Which-
In that $114,032.
So that 8,000 is out?
It's included. So of the 114, 8,000 some change is the workers' comp.
Okay. So that was.
I'm confused.
So
It's 114,000 for Pidgeot, it's 114,750 for FIA.
$750 difference between the two, Kevin, between the two companies, okay? So let's take a vote. Okay. Can we have some quiet, please?
I don't think we should take any more comment at this point, unless you're going to allow the other company to speak.
No, I think we've heard it.
I respect both of them, so if we
Yeah.
don't, we can.
Right,
Okay.
right.
So one of you will have to make a motion, and then we have to have a second, so we can have a vote. But if you can discuss it more before you make the motion, that's ideal, because I don't want to have multiple motions. That's just my preference. So if you have any other things you need to work out, or if you feel strongly about one, litigate that for the next 2 minutes, and then maybe you can have a consensus before you make the motion.
Okay, well, I would like to say that I think history speaks a lot, and I think it's important, and I think we've had a longer time probably with Aegis than we have had with Pidgeot, and I did not realize last year that David did not go out for a re-bid from Aegis when we changed to Pidgeot. I was
Sorry, I don't know that I just take them for their word. I wasn't part of that discussion.
Right, but that's significant because we would, perhaps the difference would have been not as large. So I think that's important. I think, your words about both of them is important because they're both reliable companies. So, that's what I have to say. Anybody else would like to say anything?
My other comment is I like you just be the same thing, right?
Yes, one is the carrier and.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that they come up with the number up front, and then usually they come back and change it. I get that it's competitive,
Kathy?
And we currently have Pidgeot.
Correct. It was just changed last year. Okay, would anybody like to make a motion?
I make a motion to go feeder.
Aegis.
Aegis,
Yes.
FIA?
Let's be clear, so, because we're throwing different names out, so what is your motion?
Which was the.
So looking at the form here, so Pidgeot and Brown are one proposal. Aegis and FIA are the other proposals.
Aegis and FIA,
Okay. The
We have a
motion.
second?
I'll second that.
So there's a motion by Supervisor Mayer, second by Supervisor Foley, for accepting the proposal awarding the insurance contract to FIA Aegis. Is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No being opposed, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Okay, we are,
We're at 5 o'clock.
yes.
So here's my recommendation. I think we can get through the budget quicker than we can the rest of the agenda. So if it's okay with the board, and I know we've got a lot of things to cover, but welcome to Grand here in a little bit. We do have other presentations. We do have some suspensions to talk about. I think those are going to take a little bit longer, and as well as the staff reports and the consent agenda and business items. If it's okay, we could just go to the public hearing. I don't need to recess the meeting. We can just open a public hearing. We can go into the coverage of the budget, which now, as you can see, we've got some savings. But I will mention that we also had 2 proposals for croquet. my preference would be to get your direction on that before we go into the public hearing, because the whole purpose of loading this agenda up and having all these RFPs was so that we can make intelligent, informed decisions. So, Scott, are you okay if we just delay it a little bit longer? And we take if the croquet folks are here, or we just go over the proposals and get board direction?
If we can do it quickly, it makes a lot more sense to have the price up front.
Yeah, and I apologize to staff, but this is an important, yes.
Well, I don't think staff reports will take that long.
Does the board disagree with that? I mean,
They shouldn't, I
don't even know if you want to go over them today, but we can start putting some things around.
okay, give us direction, Scott. We have to do
We advertise it, we talk about a time certain.
Okay, all right, fine,
We advertise it for 5 o'clock or as soon thereafter as can be heard. You've got a little flexibility. I would hate to see it get pushed to 5:30.
Okay.
But if something can be done in 10 minutes that would help with the budget, then we should do it.
Okay, gotcha, okay.
And I don't know that Vanessa and the team needed to actually be here for the public hearing. I don't think they've been here in the past for public hearing. So if we want to knock her report out, I'd be okay with that.
But Louise needs to be here.
Yeah, we've had a 15-minute presentation, at least with Louise.
But I do think we need to go over the croquet because
Let's
it
do
affects
that.
the budget.
All right, so we'll ask, we're going to jump out of the order again for the record. We're going to discuss the croquet proposals. The board will recall that we went out for solicitation of proposals. It's not a formal RFP, so we don't have ranking and all that other criteria. But we actually noticed it in the newspaper. We put it out to multiple companies. I even asked additional landscape companies, wouldn't touch it. So you have Yellowstone and you have St. John's Turf. I'll just show of hands. Is Yellowstone in the building? Is St. John's Turf in the building? St. John's Turf is? Okay. One more time, no Yellowstone? All right, would you just come forward and keep it to 5 minutes if you could, and then I'll put your proposal out. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Jeff Bilger. I own St. John's Turf here. Something's a little bit different than us than the Yellowstones or any of the other people out there. All we work on is sports fields and golf courses. Work, that's all we do, is what we call basically low lighter cut turf. We do everything from construction, management, anything on the sports field or mostly golf course type stuff. So this came out, it's a little bit right down our alley, is what we do. This is our proposal here. Basically $88,000 to mow, do all the stuff that was in the RFP that came out, maintain it to where it is presentable for everybody, any guests that you may have. One thing that we do when we pride ourselves on is that is your price. So we don't, if we have to do other applications of anything that we do, we'll never issue another price. That's what we stick to, that's what we have, on my staff, at the moment I got 3 past golf course superintendents, several of them with over 20 years experience. One's around 10, and then myself, I've been in the business 21 years. So, in our team, we have a pretty good knowledge of what to do, what's going on, what the situations are. It may matter, not matter. We do a ton of work, actually, on the golf course as well. We've done stuff with superintendents here, the ones we got now, and the previous ones we've had in the past. For the last 15, 18 years. Used to sell fertilizer through this golf course as well, so very familiar with the area. We're a local company, 15 employees we have. We're out of East Palatka, where we're based out of. So we're local, and we work all over, but actually my person, if we were able to take care of this, he lives here in Palm Coast. right down the road, so any problem that may arise, irrigation, whatever, to come up, we can have somebody here pretty much immediately to handle anything. So, any questions you guys have, I'll do my best to answer for you.
I think your proposal was pretty clear cut.
Okay.
That's pun intended. So Yellowstone is not here. Yellowstone was considerably higher in their pricing. It's unfortunate they're not here to go over their proposal. I will note that I asked both companies to provide, if it's just court 2 and 3, to be clear, court 1 is the one near the office at Creekside. 2 and 3 is closer to the parking lot, on the back parking lot, the big one that was installed several years ago. There's 2 courts and 1 down there. And the two court price from St. John's Turf is $75,700. The all 3 court price is $88,000. So there's a little bit of savings if you do it. If you do 2 versus 3, that was something the board had asked for. So try to take a couple minutes to discuss it amongst yourselves.
Well, yeah, and I'd like to say that I spoke to David Hillhouse, who is the superintendent of Grand Haven Golf, and he had very high recommendations. And I'm sorry, I already forgot your name.
Jeff Ocean.
Jeff.
Yes.
He had high recommendations for Jeff and basically said, you know, if we had any questions, he could be a silent consultant, but he had only good things. And I have to say that David Hillhouse, who has going on 5 years here at Grand Haven, has turned the golf course around. It's much better than it was, so I take his opinion quite seriously. My recommendation would be to go with St. John's and to do courts 2 and 3. I think the statistics and numbers that John Lukonski provided to us regarding court 1 of Croquet shows that the usage is very, very small. And I think the savings is that we would benefit by is substantial. So that would be my recommendation. Supervisors, go ahead.
So I agree. I think we need to cut down the expense on croquet from 3 to 2. Sorry. Better? Right. So I agree. We need to go with the lower one for court 2 and 3 because one does use that much, and overall I think croquet is a lower usage. So we need to lower that expense.
We don't have a plan for what to do with court 1. If you don't throw it in there for the $88,000, we would need to probably continue to discuss that. But I think it was, my memory might be a little unclear, but somebody threw out maybe we could just let it grow a little bit higher and have Vertigo maintain that, or whoever the contractor is going to be. But I'm not a turf care specialist, and you do have some money involved in that turf, so I don't know how tall that turf should grow or whatever, but just want to make sure maybe you could just approve the 88, and then we could give us 30 days to figure out a plan on how to do this. But if you go with just the courts 2 and 3, I suspect you're going to have a lot of public comment at the next meeting. It's just a discussion.
We need to figure something out with that.
I think we can go down. Jeff, are you okay if we go down later?
Yeah, we'll adjust
Okay.
to whatever, but I would make a good point. Different grasses on that, so it's gonna be, you don't just walk away from it.
So,
Sorry, Louise, go ahead.
I think that you should do all 3 courts. I think you'd see a significant damage to the other court if you just had another company come in. You've expended a lot of money in that court. So I would, if it was me, I would approve the 88 and let them do them all.
so I have a question. So it says 3 years in here. Does that mean we're committing to
They give you 3 years of pricing because I asked each company to provide the 3 years, so we would have a 3-year contract.
So we're committed to those for the next.
No, we will, like all of our contracts, will have an out.
Yeah, we have a 30-day out.
I think long-term, we need to look at this. Yeah.
Say again?
Again, we have some issues, short-term and long-term, we need to look at this.
Look,
We need to look at the expense and cost of living usage.
of croquet.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, just not croquet, amenities in general, yes, croquet.
Okay.
Well, but Louise, the whole point is to save money, so not keep it at the standard of a croquet court.
Oh, okay, I'm just,
Yes, Jim?
I don't think you got to necessarily keep it at croquet court, but there are certain things for the type of Bermuda grass that it is. We'll probably need something other than your general landscape grasses that we need. So I have no problem adjusting to, hey, we're going to let it grow taller, but we still are going to, somebody's still going to need to manage it a little bit different. You're not going to have to do all the adaptations that are in there, the top dresses can come out. So there is some cost savings that can come out. Mulberry applications, some of the other insecticide applications are still going to have to be done. And they're again, just to help you with, you guys make a decision, but it's like, you walk away from it, you make a point, you walk away from it, and could open up some other stuff, but there again.
it's a very special field, a special mower and a special care, so.
Well, Louise, didn't we have the same issue with the practice croquet court that's right over here? Didn't we kind of have the same thing? Because when the new courts were put in over at Creekside, we eliminated this one as the practice court. And I don't think we did anything special in terms of, well,
Not
vertical
really
cuts
with
it,
this
that's
one,
it.
But I know the amount of play that court gets is hard on it. I mean, hardly anyone ever uses this one, they certainly.
They don't,
use
yeah,
this.
that one's just
Yeah.
not usable anymore.
Yeah, that's what I mean, so, but it's up to you, I'm just saying, I wouldn't count on Vertigo being able to handle that will satisfy you, and then you're mad at them. It's a real specialty care for those things.
All right, then what I would say, I would make a motion to give the contract to St. John for the 3 courts, but in the interim, I would ask Jeff to give us a new quote on Court 1, to not be sustained in the same manner as the croquet courts, but kept at a good level, not of the cutting, just the quality. And then in a month, we can make the decision to, if St. John's is amenable to it, to continue either with all 3 courts or continue with the 2 courts and a different plan for Court 1.
Let me make sure I get a motion, because it's kind of 2 in 1 there. So we're going to approve the 3 court for now. We may have to come back with an amendment, so we'll just ask them to revise those proposals, in which case we can bring back an amendment. So let's make the motion clear to approve the 3 court for now, giving district council the ability to draft that agreement and negotiate the terms. I'll work with Jeff, with Vanessa and Jeff, and we'll get updated proposal for Court 1, and if there's a discussion to be had, then that's just a direction to staff to get that. So the motion would be to award the contract to St. John's Turf for the 3 courts as proposed, and authorizing district council to draft the agreement and the chair or vice chair to execute. The motion was by Dr. Merrill.
That's okay.
Second by Supervisor Foley. All in favor?
Aye.
None being opposed, motion passes 4-0. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. Thank you, board.
Jeff?
Madam Chair, your preference, how do you want to handle staff?
Well, I want real quickly, does anybody have any questions of Vanessa and her staff report, which she provides to us weekly? No. Okay, does anybody have any questions of John Lukonski and his report that he gives us also weekly? You don't,
I have to be here anyways till 7, so.
You're gonna stay.
okay. But if we don't have any questions, you don't have to. Okay, so, all right.
We'll
I'm
leave,
sorry, Louise.
we'll leave district council for later, but we'll just move towards the, we'll just
The
move
budget.
towards the budget. And Louise, I apologize. We'll make it up to you somehow. All right, give me a second, let me pull some things up here, please. While I'm pulling this up, I'd like to know, did everybody that's in the audience get the 2 handouts that are up there? One is an executive summary, board in these manila folder. Board members, in your manila folder, you will see the executive summary, and then you'll see the spreadsheet printed out. I'd like to thank staff for their help with this. With the changes that were made today and the approvals that were made today, I will update the Excel spreadsheet accordingly, and it'll magically tell me where we're at. But as of right now, I was predicting that you were going to make some changes. We've managed to work this out from what was previously approved in the budget to actually move this down a little bit. So I'm gonna make sure, does everybody got a copy of this? Okay. So the way I like to do the public hearings is I like to open with a motion for the public hearing, then I'll go over the summary, I may go over a couple of the items in the Excel spreadsheet to make sure they're right. And then we're just gonna jump right into public comments because then it'll come back to the board after the public hearing so that you all understand that this is the public hearing for the audience members and their chance to comment. It is not subject to the 3 minutes. So I'll ask for a motion to open the public hearing for the budget. I think there's a separate motion, or can we do both? Can we do both the public hearings in one motion, Scott, or do you want them separate? Okay, so the motion would be to open both public hearings, one for the assessment and the other for the budget. Is there a motion? Motion by who, I'm sorry? Dr. Merrill, who's the second? Was it Supervisor Foley? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the public hearing is open. For the audience members, I'm going to get my bearings. It's been an interesting start to the meeting, so give me a second here. Let me pull up the executive summary. Time is approximately 5:19 p.m. for transcriptionist purposes. All right, so that people can see it on the screen up here. This is something new that I started doing for my communities. I think it's helpful. It kind of cuts down on all the extra time. It also helps the board. I'll just briefly go over the executive summary. Basically outlines that there was going to be a decrease. I'm just going to jump right to the bottom. Previously, and for the record, the board adopted at the May meeting, at the May regular meeting, they approved, the fiscal year 2027 budget. The difference between an approval and adoption is that's it. That's the change. We're adopting it. That's what we're going to send to the tax collector, and we have a public hearing requirement that we're meeting today. So the approval is just saying this is where we're at. We've done our due diligence, but since then, we've been able to do a little bit more due diligence. We've been out to RFP for both insurance and now for croquet. We will not have the pricing in time for the landscape to put it correctly, but we've got some contingency in there that'll absorb that if there's a change that's higher than the budget that's in there. So we're going from what was presented at a 4.79% down to what looks to be a 3.9%. I would like to add, I think it was back in May, that I stated to the public and to the board that we were at about a 4.2% inflationary factor. which was higher than what we probably like to do, 2 or 3% in our budgets to keep up with inflation. But I think with all the extra work that we've done, a 3.9% increase overall between your O&M and your capital reserve fund is pretty good. I've got districts that are approving 7-8% increases just because of the cost of inflationary factors on capital projects and having to increase their capital reserve fund, but Grand Haven's not in that same position. So, excuse me. The O&M level assessment, it looks like what could now be proposed is $4,826 and $4,826,149. You'll see that's a 5.63% increase. This is in the summary, but I'm going to go back. I'm going to check my numbers on the Excel because that's the one we're going to use. But each line here, we talked about the different levels of assessment for the different types. We had a La Vista landscape restoration assessment. That doesn't change. The Escalante parking lot tax as a revenue stream, that went up slightly by $268. The investment interest went down $30,000. That line predicted higher use of fund balance, so we will just continue to monitor that. And if we can make more money on our interest rate, but the last thing we want to do is overinflate an expected revenue that is variable and count on that to reduce our assessments, but we're not doing that. So I like keeping it where it's at. And then we had other revenues, the water, gas, rentals, tennis, et cetera. We kept that neutral. Below that are the different changes in rolled up. So administrative expenditures is going to decrease by $74,400, largely due to the management restructuring and some other items that roll into that. If you adopt the budget for the public hearing or the meeting schedule, you'll be down to 4 workshops, which are quarterly workshops. It's kind of where you're at anyways. We're just putting it on paper. If you do the 11 meetings as proposed, and we don't do the meeting in November, thank you. That's rolled into there, and there's just some additional savings from Vesta from them having a lower amount, but my contract absorbs some of that. But overall, the staffing level change and the restructuring led to the $74,000 in decrease in the budget this year. The information and technology is going up by $25,625. Those are individual items, and you can look at the other handout, and you can look under the departments to see what those are. One thing to communicate about information and technology is we are looking at the reason we have some of these increases, we're live streaming now. Thank you to Let Media, who is doing the live streaming and using YouTube. This cut down and allowed me to participate more in the meetings, but yet give ADA accessible audio video to people that want to go back and watch these meetings. They live on YouTube, so that's part of the increase. The other increases, we're expecting some additional new communication app charges, and we just don't really know what that is, but we're planning on that, so we've built in an additional, I believe, $15,000 in that. The insurance expenditures, you can see I took a guess. I didn't know the budget was going to come in here and lower it as much as they did to get down to the number, but the insurance expenditure of $105,593, that's the bundle price absent of workers' comp, because we have a workers' comp insurance line that's separate. So I preemptively did this last night looking at the proposals and updated this. The utility expenditures, we're expecting anywhere from an 8 to 10% increase on utilities plus usage, but we continue to monitor that weekly, monthly. So if there's anything that's wrong, we try to save on costs of water and irrigation usage. So, but we do have a $35,676 increase, and that's mainly driven by actuals. I think you decreased your budget in the past, and we're right-sizing that. Field operations is going up by $253,291. There's right here, if you look up here, we have some new planned infrastructure lines. We're adding stormwater plan maintenance, that was earlier mentioned, for $50,000. We have firewise protection at 56,000, oak trees at 50,000. That's to remove the oak trees if needed. Sidewalk repairs, 20,000. Dog park maintenance, that's a new item, 5,000. It hasn't been called out before, but it's in there as a planned infrastructure line. And then the roads and bridges, 5,000. So overall, we're increasing at 248,334. So it's got an 18%. But one thing that you also need, and there's landscaping and then the optional flower rotation. One thing that I'd like to mention about the field ops for the benefit of the public is the board, through an engagement with me in a separate contract for consulting, we worked with Kevin and your prior district manager and the director of operations at the time, and we looked at all of the infrastructure reinvestment plan, the IRP tool. We pulled out all the O&M items, which is probably long overdue, and we said those don't need to be over there. Those are more amenity maintenance, community maintenance, a repair item that is not really a capital or a capitalized item. So of all of that work, we moved at least, I think it was 150,000 of that over, but then we added some additional increases in the line items due to inflation. So that largely makes up why we're going up in that department. I obviously went through and we looked at the staff support. So staff support payroll, you can see that was, I just, right here in the parentheses, 75,000, that was previously mentioned. The employee health insurance, well, that was not expected. I know you went out and exhaustively searched for a PEO company to take over this. They have hit us with a notice that they intend to increase the cost of the health insurance. Rest assured, just like croquet, just like insurance for the community, landscape RFP, we're on it, we're looking at it, but we have to plan for the worst and hope for the best. So worst case scenarios, we can find another solution and it reduces that number, but we have to budget for it today. So we're out of time to get all of that in there. The amenity and security operations is up by 13,760, and that is the amenity contract, that's contractual. There's a 3.5% increase in that. The pool chemicals, pool sure increased from 28,446 to 32,000. That's a 15%. Due to the gas prices, we've been getting hit with fuel surge charge, and other items. So we anticipate an increase for pool sure. There is another company. There's actually two other companies. I highly recommend not making a change right now on that. I can go into this discussion with you individually about how I feel about the other companies and competitors. I have no vested interest in pool sure. It strictly has to do with service. So I wouldn't recommend any changes there right now. The AC maintenance and gate operating supplies were reduced by 8,521 and 6,912. So insurance, this is a new item. The district solicited proposals. We did this. I came to the 105, so that's just revisiting that. The capital reserve fund, we're going to keep it level. I'm going to take 2 minutes to explain this. So in years that we don't have a capital plan that exceeds the 1,119,866, which was last year's number, we're going to use it for this year, we would build fund balance. So our capital plan, and this has been revisited probably 3 or 4 times, we just really want to make sure it's accurate, but we don't want to cut it so thin that it doesn't leave us any room for, we didn't see that coming. So there is additional 50,000 in the capital plan for general infrastructure repairs. Okay, that's capital over $5,000 or $10,000. The projects are listed here. So we went back, we looked at them. I know there was some discussion and even public comment about why do we do this? Why do we replace treadmills? I mean, if we strictly go by usage on things, I don't think that's a good methodology to use in determining everything that we do at Grand Haven. I think it's a factor. I think it's a good factor. I think it's going to help you make informed decisions, but it's not the only factor that goes into why we make decisions. There's updated electronics, there's the cost of maintaining older, the parts are not available, whatever. This was on the plan. These are older units. I don't disagree with what Mr. Howden said earlier about treadmill, but I digress. So we are adding a couple of new items in here, and I'm happy to say that we can replace the 2014 Mule, which is what the staff use. We have a couple UTVs, ATVs that we use. This is one that's older, and they've been repairing it. I've actually talked to the field ops manager, the director of operations, and the field maintenance superintendent, and everybody is saying this is what they need, so I didn't disagree with that. We're going to purchase a mini excavator. We did a cost analysis on cost versus renting, and I was a little shocked at the cost, but I'm glad that the team has come to me and to the board. This was previously discussed. I just made sure that we updated the number. It looks like that number's been updated, but we needed a trailer to pull that around. So what the mini excavator will be used for is any projects that we can do in-house. I gave a complete analysis on my operations report, the operational review analysis in it. We talked about the cost of having employees do things in-house versus outsourcing. This is where you're going to save some money. Jason and the team, we've actually hired another concrete worker one to work with Jason, and we're going to be able to knock out some more aged infrastructure on concrete curbs and gutters. We also do curbs and gutters before we do the road resurfacing. So some of that is in-house, some of that is put out to bid with Klein. The pond bank reinforcement, I didn't want to skip over this. Infrastructure repairs, stormwater system. That number used to be 200,000, so it's down to 100,000. We don't know what we're going to repair. We're looking at stormwater as a whole. We're looking at creating a planned preventative maintenance program on all of our infrastructure has to do with stormwater. It's more than just the FFG that was created to look at the underground utilities. It's a factor in that. We don't know what we're going to repair, but we know we have aging infrastructure. We know we're going to have to do some pipe repairs or replacements. We know that we're going to have to do some pond bank erosion control. That number's in there as a place for us to code those expenses to. We will identify that as we go forward in the next quarter as a team, and then we'll bring back recommendations to the board, and then we'll have that board level discussion and get guidance and direction from you in that. But that 100,000's in there to help us with that. Pond bank reinforcement, lake aerators, annual expense. We're doing a capital project for the main entrance for the landscape project, which is in Louis' presentation, which we'll show a little bit later. Mailboxes are on there. The road resurfacing project, we've updated the numbers with David and I. We've looked at them. We actually made some changes to the road resurfacing plan because I didn't like the layout, because we would have to come back over roads that we previously paved if we went with the old plan. So he and I spent a little time on the phone. You'll see that, Bill. We spent a little time on the phone. I asked him, I said, David, it doesn't make sense for us to go down Creekside and do that main thoroughfare going back and then leave that whole back area back there, which is going to be done in 3 years. We need to kind of work our way out and leave that main thoroughfare, and he didn't disagree. So we kind of moved some other things around, and we're trying to stay at that 300,000 threshold. 297 is a projection based on the numbers that we received from this last project. Prices go up. He kind of accounted for that. So we're just under that 300,000 threshold for a project. The curbs and gutters, as we talked about, that we source out because it's a larger project. That's a number that's just carrying forward. That 79,568 is the goal. It may be a little less, it may be a little bit more, but we're hoping it's no more than that 79,000. And then we're going to update the electronics and sound systems for the Village Center and the Creekside, which have issues and definitely have areas of opportunity. This is the outside, not in here. So that was on the capital, that was on the IRP tool, and we worked with John to make sure that we got some proposals and the companies that we've used. The pool equipment handicap lift. So Somebody had mentioned doing an ADA audit. I'm going to choose my words carefully just to make sure they don't get used against me, but there were some things that have been brought to our attention through an audit that was previously done. I'm not hiding that. There was an audit that was done. One of the items that were in there that was an aha was the spas, the hot tubs. They don't have lifts. Well, guess what? We're going to put lifts on them so we can be compliant. So those 2 lifts, that's for 2 lifts. It may be mobile, because I don't know that I want to dig into the surface and do that. They may be mobile, but we'll have one here and we'll have one there, and we'll go over that later. We haven't spent any of this money yet, as you all know. But that is the capital plan for $858,403 plus $50,000 for general infrastructure repairs that are not yet identified, but we want to leave some room for ourselves. That means overall, if I go back up here to the summary, sorry. So if everybody has their handout right here, we're looking to actually build on fund balance this year and add $111,464 in projected fund balance for fiscal year 2027. That's because we're bringing in, we're not increasing our assessments. We're able to do that. I've been able to look 10 years out and project through the IRP that we can go another year at the assessment level we're at. We've sharpened our pencil on the capital projects, and we still feel this is a healthy project list combined with all the other repairs that are in the O&M, and we're still going to build fund balance. So that's going to really improve the outlook for the community. And this year, as you saw in the video that we did earlier, we're projected to be under budget, and that was even adding some additional capital projects this year. So, and the dog park and all that, it's still going to be under budget. The total capital reserve fund. So that's a long explanation of the changes between what was approved and what I'm suggesting. I'm just going to quickly go in here, make sure I didn't miss anything. So you see up here, let me see if I can blow this up a little bit. I don't want to do it that way. See that percentage, 3.95? That's the projection based on the changes I made prior to us having those presentations. So I'm feeling pretty confident about that. It's definitely less than the 4.7 that we were looking at, or was it over 5? So I've done as best I can. Board, I've done as best I can. Residents of the community, this is your opportunity to go over the budget. You have a copy in your hands. Maybe you've had time to look at it. Maybe you were referring to a previous copy that was approved in May, but the staff and the board, through their direction and their guidance to me, and their direction and challenges, quite honestly, to me and the staff, we've been able to get that down to where I think I'm comfortable with it. It would be my recommendation to the board later on to accept those changes. But this is a public hearing, so we have to let the public speak first, and then we'll go to a board level. Because Kevin, you can change it later after you get the input. Just your name for the record when you come up, please. Thank you.
Brian Collins.
Hey, Brian.
Hi. Thank you for the detailed explanation. I'd like you to focus on the first line of revenues, O&M, assessment level.
Yep, I'll go with that.
On your executive summary.
Make sure it's correct, because, like I said, I had some changes today, and I want to make sure
I'm
they're
thinking
right.
you might have had some changes and they didn't follow through. But if you could go to the executive summary.
Yep, let me get to that. Let me pull it up.
And I'm just trying to reconcile.
Yeah.
All right, so if you look at it, you show 4.6 million for the 2026 adopted.
Yep, and then 4.8.
4,000,008, and that's roughly a $180,000 variance.
0.8.
So you're showing a $261,000 increase.
It's 183, so I didn't change it because that was in Word format, so good catch.
Okay.
You got me on that one.
Well, I'm not trying to get you. I'm just generally in public government accounting, your revenues have to equal your expenditures.
That's correct.
So you might want to throw that as a little bit of a double check. So I'm not really sure. The 5.6 variance is probably something much lower. and you're probably at, instead of 4.79, it's probably more like a 3.18% increase.
So let me answer your question the best I can. I thank you for the point. And yes, I was updating that up until this morning when I printed it. So yes, the variance is only 180, is actually only 183,339 because I did change it in Word, but good catch, thank you. So the total amount of revenues, to your point of revenues equaling expenditures and governmental accounting, and thank you for the public announcement on that. That's good that you know that. So we're at $4,987,890 in revenue. The total expenditures match.
Right.
$4,987,890.
Where you're off is on your variance and your increase, your variance increase.
On the summary.
Right, you actually, it works, the way it works on the summary, it works against you. You guys actually did a better job of keeping the revenues down, so you should give yourself a little more credit.
Thank you. Thank
There you
you.
go. There you go.
I appreciate it. Thank
I'm
you.
sure you get enough other things other than credit.
All right, well, yes, and we appreciate that. Can we have that in writing? All right, next. I know I didn't do that good of a job. Yes, ma'am.
We don't have to sign it.
No, just your name for the record.
Hey, Jenny Stein, I just have a quick question. You've got 100,000 of stormwater maintenance in your capital fund expenditures, and you also have 50,000 in the general operating expenditures.
Yes.
And I'm just curious, how do you figure out when you get a bill, which place it goes and what those represent?
Generally speaking, if it's a capital expense, we're looking at items $5,000 or more. That's my threshold. It would be a major infrastructure repair in that stormwater in the capital for that 100 grand. The 50 is a placeholder for a planned preventative maintenance program that we're going to put in place, and maybe some O&M repairs that don't meet that 5,000.
So we do need some stormwater, major stormwater repair.
We need a plan for it, and we do have some facts laid before us from the fact-finding group that there are things that we need to do with the stormwater maintenance. The engineer does an annual stormwater analysis, and we're required to do, every 5 years, I think we're required by the state to do one. So when those reports come in, we have to abide by them and get those things repaired.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome, great question. Any questions on the assessments? I gotta be clear. So we'd be looking at, here's the assessments, and I'll just wrap it up and then we'll close the public hearing. The Excel seems to be up to date, so I'll just go over the assessment levels really quick. I wouldn't use what's in your handout. I'll use this because I made some changes on the fly. So the single lot occupied, the annual variance between 26 and 27, the total for O&M is 102, but if you combine O&M, and the capital reserve fund, you can see there's a $0 increase because we kept it flat. Okay, good. So we'll just go down here to the total. Single lot and occupied condos would have $102.08 increase for a monthly variance of $851 for those who have mortgages. Other people pay their tax bill or their mortgage paid off, then you're going to pay your tax bill off in full. The La Vista condos are at the same, you're like, well, what's going on with La Vista? You'll see there's actually La Vista assessment over here that's a little different. So that has to be computed in there, that's why it's a little bit different. So their annual variance would actually be $102.08. The double lots would be $204 increase and 16 cents. The unfinished condos would be a $2,449.89 increase, and then the Escalante increase would be $1,887.97. So that comprises the assessments, and that's what, it's going to be less than what was noticed. So we're meeting our statutory requirement there. Good news, we worked it down and where we're at. So any questions from the public while we're still open in the public hearing on the assessments? Less than what we previously approved. Everybody seems to be okay. Nobody likes an increase, but we can't argue. All right. With that, I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing. Motion by Dr. Merrill.
I second.
By Supervisor Meyer, all in favor? None being opposed, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay. So, at the board level, minus the I can't call it a Scrivener's error, but I just say an overlook on my part of the summer, trying to rush that out. I think I've covered everything. You guys have seen this more than anybody, and we've talked about it for months. Do you have any questions? Do you want to move forward as presented? Do you have any agenda over anything? Do you want to see anything dramatically changed? Kevin, you had a question. Let's start with you.
Yeah, I question this was between the gross and the net, you know,
Yep. We gross up. It's, I think it's 6%.
well, we didn't make any changes to, the plan that you sent out today, it's still 482.
What's 48260?
The assessment.
Oh, you talked about the revenue? 4826, okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to review this a little bit, just to make sure, but I've got the numbers built in here. You can see insurance 105,593. I had no knowledge. I didn't talk to you guys about FIA versus PIDGE. I let you guys battle that out yourself. The pump house shared facility I changed down to 16,000. The landscape croquet, I gathered you were going to go with 88. Sorry, Dr. Miro, I know you went a little lower. we don't always get what we want, especially
When you make an adjustment to the top line,
Yes, sir.
Okay, does it automatically adjust the individual, the 102, in other words, that assessment?
Yeah, anything I do from below the top line factors to the top line. It reverses, so it tells me what I need to assess. So if I change, I can show you really quick. You want to look?
No.
Okay. If I change an expense and I increase it by 100 grand, your assessment's going to go up and everything in Excel works. So, all right. Don't be a geek. All right. The insurance for workers' comp, I need to change that number because I think FIA came in with a different number than I had, but let me just check. So I'll update that number, but it would be, the motion would be the acceptance changes.
Louise, are you okay with the 58 for the front entrance? Okay.
Before you make a motion, we have resolutions, so.
Do what we can for
A lot of screens to flip between. My bookmark's not working. All right, 60. All right, so the first resolution, it looks like, can you just double check with me on the agenda since I can't flip them back and forth?
Yeah, so we're looking at resolution 2026, item 13, adopting budget.
Nope, that's meeting schedule. So that's meeting schedule, so we want to go to 13.
Then we adopting the budget as amended during the CDD discussion.
I'm going to pull it up. Thank you. Thanks for doing that so I didn't have to flip between paper in here. So here it is, Resolution 2026-13. It's the annual appropriation resolution of the Grand Haven Community Development District, the district relating to the annual appropriations and adopting the budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2026 and ending September 30th, 2027. So is there a motion to adopt?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Kathy. Second by Dr. Merrill. All in favor? None being opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Great work. The next resolution, Scott, is at 14. The assessment. Yep. Resolution 2026-14 is a resolution of the Board of Supervisors of the Grand Haven Community Development District imposing special assessments and certifying an assessment role, providing a severability clause, and providing an effective date. Is there a motion to adopt Resolution 2026-14? This is putting the assessment on the tax roll.
Yes.
Motion by Dr. Merrill.
Second.
I'm sorry, who? Kathy, thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right. Just give me 1 second.
stay in order, because we did get out of order a little bit today, so I don't want to skip anything. That already happened in one meeting. All right, so we've gone through those resolutions in the public hearing. I want to thank the board for their due diligence and their work, and the staff. And I'd like the record to reflect that the board and the staff worked very hard on this to get it down to that increase. So thank you all for your help. This concludes the public hearing. So we've closed the public hearing. I think we've concluded everything that's on the public hearing. And we're going to go back in order here and see if we can go back into the regular meeting and cover up the rest of those items. So the next item, if it's okay with the board, is to go into the 2027 landscape enhancement projects with the district horticulturist. Is that okay? Okay, thank you. Let me pull that up.
What we put together is some major projects that we have planned for 27, one of which is the main gate. We also have quite a few entrances to communities. So you'll see what they look like now, what they're hopefully going to look like. But we spent a lot of time. There's some areas in Grand Haven that are much older and some areas that really need. This is Lake Haven. Matt, go forward. And this is the sign. There used to be a Pindo Palm back there, and this is the projected new look. Simple, elegant, rich design to give a nice look. A nice magnolia, some hedging in the back, their sign. They had a Pindo Palm which died from potassium deficiency in the ground with our high phosphorus soil. So, next one, Matt. And you'll have the numbers of what each project cost. And some of the plants you'll see.
I'll send this to the board.
Some of the plants you'll see listed in these are fillers for now. At time of install, we may change a variety of species or something in the numbers. This is a basic plan that the project would be the most, that includes irrigation upgrades and everything for that. Move forward. Hopefully so that,
Okay, there we go.
this is River Club Drive. This whole area has been on the slate for some remodeling for a long time, but one thing or another popped up, and a more urgent thing, hurricane damage, you name it. So this street has been pretty ugly for a long time of basic needs. So this is what we see now. This is the mailbox. Go ahead, Matt. And this is what it'll look like when we're done. Nice clean look. Instead of having mulch all over the street, we're going to have a nice rock base to it so that it's one and done. It'll be nice and clean and tidied up. You can go to the next one. This is what it looks like now. Dear God, whoever sold this community the miles and truckloads of Spartina in areas as just a filler. And this is what it will look like now. Huh?
Where is this?
That's right across the street.
At your backyard?
Yep, right across the street. So this is what it looks like now because it's shady and the trees grow, and this is what it's going to look like. We're going to have a lot of turf in some of these areas because turf is a great filtration for water and runoff. It's a good filler. It's less maintenance, believe it or not, than having open bare ground that we're constantly putting mulch in or pine straw, weeds. One of these roads that I just went through with Vertigo, and he told me that in order to keep the weeds down on your street, it's 4 backpack sprayers of herbicide every time they spray. That's ridiculous. We don't need that. So we're going through now and simplifying things and adding some sod so that it's mowing rather than all of that weed and detail work. Go ahead, Matt. This is the area now in there. This is on River Club area. The trees were tiny when these areas were first landscaped, and now they're giant trees, and there's no sun in there, and it's bare dirt, ground ugliness. And so you can go to the next slide. And that's what it'll look like. The trees will be lifted. We'll allow more sunlight. We get sunlight from the west there, so it's shady in the morning from the east. And then as the afternoon comes in, it opens up and we get some nice area. Our trees are gorgeous. We have beautiful trees in Grand Haven, so there's no reason to put a million landscape plants around trees that stand alone as focal points and beautiful objects as your main priority. So that's what that area will look like. Next. This is behind the sign. We used to have a big palm tree there, and it succumbed to a weevil and fusarian wilt, which means we cannot put another palm in there. We have to put other species and other things. So the back, when those people that live on this road come in and they go around that cul-de-sac, it is horrible right now. There is nothing there but bare ground and pine straw every once in a while. So this is what it'll look like. There's some nice oleander in there and some other grasses, and that'll be tidied up, and they have that little walkway. Mac? This is the other side of that. Again, you can see areas that have not had anything in there a long time. As the Spartina started to fail, it just died out and bare ground was left. Go ahead. And so we're going to put a viburnum hedge down the middle of it so that the people that live there have a little privacy from that road, because on weekends and whenever you have an event, there's traffic up and down that road and people parking right in front of not their houses, but it's still across the street, and they see all that traffic and signs. So that'll be, and that's the height they have, but we can let it get a little bit higher and give them a little more privacy. But it'll be nice and clean and tidy and well kept. This is Egret and Waterside. This project was proposed, I want to say, when we first had the Vertigo contract, which is probably 5 years ago, I think. This was one of the ones in the packet that they talked about. And so this is, as you turn down Egret on the left side, we had already done the right side. So this is the left side. Now can you click? And so it'll look like this. So these are beautiful Burfordite hollies or Marynell, depending on what looks best at that time. And it will, because that backdrop in there is pretty ugly. So this will give that street a nice clean look on there. Some nice holly trees. Grandview. Good God, Grandview. Anyone know from Grandview here?
Yeah.
Who? Yes? Oh, okay. So Grandview's been a train wreck. It has the most beautiful pond on Grandview with gorgeous bold cypress trees. And Washingtonian palms, which are not my favorite, we're losing them left and right from lightning strikes. In fact, we lost 4 last week at the south gate. So this is the monument sign that's there, and it's pretty ugly. Mac? And this is the other side. There's a gentleman that lives at the first house in Grandview, and if I tell you that if I lived there, I probably wouldn't go in because the palmettos are so close to his house, it's really a mess. To mow them would expose him to Waterside Parkway, and so what's going to happen there is that's going to be our first firewise removal of all the palmettos on the side of his house so that he doesn't have palmettos touching his landscape, his home. Go ahead, Mac. This is the first side, what it will look like with the wall, and we'll have our crew power wash that wall. It's full of moss now, and that'll clean it up. Mac? And this is the other side. We'll have a privacy hedge, as does the River Club on the south side of Waterside. We did this there. We removed the Brazilian peppers that were there and did firewise and put a viburnum hedge in front so that the people wouldn't see the traffic. That's what happens when we do a lot of the firewise. We expose those houses that are close and the reason for firewise to traffic. And so you have to make them whole again by creating a light break and a noise break to their property. I think this is going to be beautiful. I've been wanting to do this for a while. Mac? Keep going. South Lake entrance. This area is now. Next. Same thing, the other side of the road is only annuals there. It used to be oleander, and they were 19 feet tall, and they were really raggedy looking and not pretty. And it'll look like this when we're done, and this when we're done. Go ahead. Main entrance, okay, so the main entrance has its own line. Thank you very much to the board for making, and Mac for making this. This is our main gate. It's needed to have a facelift for a long time. The last time we did some work here, we did a partial one because we didn't have any money, but we had a lot of stuff that was old and tired. Across the front, we had azaleas all the way down the road. The original developer had azaleas like halfway down to Creekside almost, and it was bits that you can't even maintain. Get trees behind them, that property that we don't even own. So this is today, Mac. This is today. And this is what it looked like. So when you come to the entrance, those are going to be some specimen hollies, not East Palatka, because you know there's a problem with them. These are Nellie R. Stevens or Mary Nell, depending on what we find that looks correct. Which is nice, especially for the holidays, because they'll look beautiful in there. And it's a substantial piece of landscape material between those beautiful medjool palms right now. You can't put little stuff or put 1,000 little landscape plants in there because you have to water too much of that with those medjools there. It will definitely be a problem for them. Go ahead, Mac. This is what we have now. Go ahead. And this is what it will look like when we're done. We have a lot of material that's old-fashioned landscape, layers and layers of boxed shrubs. So in other words, you have one layer and it's this high, the next layer and it's this high, and the next layer and it's that high. And then all they do, because it's been done that way for 20-something years, is shave it to square boxes, which is not cool. So we're going to individualize the plantings so that they're more natural looking, more inviting, more cottagey looking, so to say, rather than boxes of landscape. Go ahead, Matt. Here it is here. This is the front now, which is, again, just overgrown, very large material that we've had for many, many years there. Next. And this is what it'll look like. The viburnum hedge behind, which we have already for part of it. This will continue, again, some more square hollies, triangular hollies, and some nice ground cover. Next. This is what we have at the south end. This is where the turning lane is coming into the main entrance. Go ahead. It used to be azaleas and it was beautiful, but our first company, long before I was here, azaleas have a problem with lace bug in this area, and if they're not sprayed for lace bug, it kills all the foliage on them and then stresses the plant, and the plant dies. It kills all the new stuff, and then they defoliate. So this is what it'll look like when we're done. That hedge is there. We'll tidy it up, thicken it up, so that the homes behind here don't get the road noise from Colbert Lane. Next. And another area, go ahead. Same thing, that's the other side of it. We have some beautiful trees out front, and this will give us spring color and be nice in a shady area there. Okay. This is behind the wall. As you walk out, God, there's absolutely no sunlight there, and it's just a mess of leaves. There's a bike rack in there for the kids, and it really is unsightly as you walk out, and it's been driving me nuts, so go ahead. So we have beautiful rock out here. It's one and done. It was expensive, but we haven't had to touch it since we re-landscaped this building. So putting thousands of dollars in mulch back behind areas that, really are difficult to maintain. Right now, if we had this, the guys could come through and they can spray a herbicide if a weed comes through, and they can blow all those leaves away and rake it up, and it'll still look pretty. So this gives us a good utilitarian area where the kids are, and let's face it, wherever some kids are riding bikes, there is no grass. There is nothing there. It's going to get worn down to nothing. And that's part of the problem. The soil is so compacted now, nothing will grow there. So this will tidy it up and it'll look elegant and clean. Next. this area. I'd love to meet the guy that designed this architecturally. He obviously had not one thought of horticulture in mind because nothing lives here. Nothing. I've done it so many times. They had palms in there. It's just a mess. So we're going to simplify it. Go ahead, Mac. And that's what it's going to look like with a drip system, and we'll do beautiful pots as we come in. They'll change them out seasonally as they do the annuals. Those big pots are going to be beautiful, and look how clean that looks, and it looks like somebody loves it and takes care of it. So I think that's a major improvement, and we're going to have it on the other side. And look at the wall. The wall really shows up there now, and it looks really nice. Go ahead, Matt. Go ahead. We have what I call the grave beds there. Okay. So lots of good things coming. I have small projects. I mean, I couldn't ask Vertigo to do renderings for every project we have, but that's just some of them, and it's short and sweet so that you get an idea. We do have a plan. We have a lot of old landscape that really needs to be changed, and some of the projects that we've been waiting for a while are on the list this year to do. And in doing so, I've tried to find you plants that don't require a lot of chemicals and fertilizer and have pests and disease that plague them, and sustainable landscapes so that we're not spending a lot of money. Any questions? Either you're really tired or I did a good job. Go ahead. Is it okay?
Louise,
Yep.
Louise, what period, oh, I'm sorry, you got a question. Go ahead.
Okay. Louise, thank you. That was a beautiful presentation here. Really nice. Okay, my only question to you is this. On Waterside Parkway and South Lake, going down to South Lake, there's a lot of kudzu on the trees.
Oh, good. Yeah. This winter, I am going to do a big chemical spray on the hanging vines. I did it at Ocean Hammock years ago, and it cleaned up a lot of the vines. It's going to be ugly when they do it, but that's my intent. We'll see how it works. It has to be done in the winter because it could kill other things in there that we don't want. It's too hot. But I've been chipping away at that as much as possible. As you know, we did a large fire-wise mow on Waterside Parkway this year and got rid of a lot of it. It comes from the golf course. It's hard to push that back. It doesn't stay back. And, you know, I could spend every ounce of money in your budget trying to get rid of those vines. So trust me, I'm trying.
Does it kill the trees?
No.
Oh, that was my biggest concern.
It might brown some of the leaves on them, but they'll come. It won't kill them.
Oh,
I would never kill the trees.
That was my concern, that it was going to kill the trees.
No.
So I-
The spray you mean that I'm doing?
No, the kudzu itself.
It's a native vine. It's not kudzu. It is a grapevine that's naturally here. It's not anything that came from another country.
It looks nice, I'm just worried about it killing stuff.
It will if it covers them, so we're trying desperately.
Okay, thank you.
Kevin, you have a question?
Yeah, all those projects you showed us, those going to be done next
This
fiscal
year,
year?
this
year.
27, this starting October
Yeah.
1, that's the next year's
Great.
budget, yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I have a couple. Veronica, you have a question?
Yeah, I just have a couple quick questions. Are you getting all the plants and the trees through Vertigo?
Yes, because they're going to warranty them.
That was my next question.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yes, we don't, well, as long as they win our contract. If they don't, we'll get them from whoever our provider is, but we won't have them install anything unless there's a warranty. I would never do that. Everything has a warranty, and if it doesn't have a warranty, I don't recommend hiring any company that won't warranty their work for a year.
And I saw some beautiful flowers. Couldn't see well enough to see what they were. Are you pretty mostly perennials, long-lived
Some perennials, a lot of, perennials. Not, some of you saw some annuals, because
Yes,
in front of them is the annual
Yeah,
beds.
but mainly perennials to fill in and
Correct,
stay
yes,
there.
yeah.
Looks great.
Okay.
Lovely.
Madam Chair? I think, we entertained a few public comments. I think people appreciate it, but we're going to get back into the agenda. I want to tell you, thank you. Did you have any other comments? Yes, sir.
Your project's in there.
No. My question is more.
I did do a rendering, but it's in
the
there.
More of the plants you're adding, does that have any impact on our ongoing expenses for maintenance?
No, in fact, if anything, it reduces your
Okay, I'm
maintenance
just curious.
costs, yes, yeah. I thought you were gonna ask me about your trees.
Yeah, you got an interesting scenario for sure. All right, Louise, thank you. I'm sorry it took us so long, and yeah, please go ahead and feel free to leave, because I know you have a trip, a long trip, but thank you for coming. I'm going to get back into, thank you. We're going to get back into district council. We're going back to staff reports at this point, and district council, do you have update? Let me get there.
I've got nothing to add to my written report unless the board has a question.
No? Okay. So we'll go into the next item. And I would like to, I gotta pull something up really quick, so forgive me if I unplug for a second. We're gonna get into the suspensions really quick. There's some information that I'm not showing on the screen, but we do have records. But for the purpose of today, I wanted to let you know we have two suspensions. One was for, mention your name, sorry. Daniel Butner, forgive me if I butchered the name, and then Miss Joy Walker. Are either of those individuals present? No. Okay. So thank you to Supervisor Myers for letting me know that I, in my haste to get through the agenda, we actually skipped over Mr. Butner's suspension. So we put it back on here. My recommendation, it's been in the agenda. Some of you, if not all of you, have spoken to me or Vanessa about it. But that 30-day suspension has come and gone. So my recommendation is to let that time be time served. We'll monitor it. If we have another incident, that's going to trigger a different level, and we'll bring that back to the board. Is there any questions about Mr. Butner? And just for clarification, he's not in the audience. No. Scott, do we need to do any administrative things to cover up with a motion?
The rules do require the board to review it and act, so we would need a motion just to accept the 30 days already served.
Motion was made by Supervisor Foley, second by Dr. Merrill. This is for Mr. Butner's suspension, time served, and accepting the recommendation and approving the suspension. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. None being opposed. Motion passes 4-0. I should have taken shorthand. I apologize. All right. The next one that I have is Ms. Joy Walker. This is a sensitive nature. Ms. Joy Walker, or Representative Ms. Joy Walker here. I'm going to look for some legal help on this one. I'm going to try to dance around this a little bit. Ms. Walker, I believe she has a caregiver. She's not making comments that are appropriate. There's probably a condition that contributes to that, though I'm not a doctor, I can't tell you. The amenity manager, John, has had discussions, I believe, or interactions with that caregiver. We've done the best we can with Ms. Joy. She's been a long-standing resident and member of this community. I remember her from back when I was the amenity manager, and a lot of good stories, but just unfortunate. So with that, I think I've danced around it as best I can. If you want individual updates, I'm happy to give them to you, but I'm choosing my words carefully simply because I think it's a sensitive nature with her condition. So we did suspend her privileges for 30 days, but I think we need to have more discussion with legal counsel's guidance if anything beyond 30 days is necessary. If we have individuals that have conditions, medical conditions or psychiatric conditions or any other conditions that would put them outside of being comfortable with just a 30-day, and how would we handle that? Sorry to put you on the spot.
That's why I stayed. I think mainly the main ingredient here, and John can speak to this, I think, is that the caregiver supported this action and thought that it would be helpful to her in trying to get the appropriate treatment or, residential change of scenery for Joy. So I think that's why the recommendation is coming forward, and it will take probably more than 30 days for that to play out. And so I would say to help the caregiver with that process, a 90-day suspension might be appropriate.
Didn't we have an issue a couple of years ago with this person over at Creekside?
She wasn't suspended before, but it's gotten bad now.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
A couple years ago, I spoke to her, she settled down for a little bit, but it's over the top now.
I understand the situation.
We also have a situation where there's a vested employee involved and some need to protect
Correct. Yeah,
the employee. That kind of goes into the recommendation as well.
I recommend the same 90 days.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Supervisor Foley,
I'll second.
second by Supervisor Martin, all in favor?
Aye.
I'll contact the caregiver, Donna, I believe her name, and then Mac, if you can send me, once you get that all typed up.
I might have Scott draft this one.
I can send it to the caregiver.
Just because I might
Okay.
not be the best person. Needs some legalese for sure. So that motion passed unanimously without objection. Thank you, board. So that is that, the Wild Oaks Dog Park update. So I've probably spoken to most of you, not all of you. I'm not sure. I know I spoke with Janet on the phone. She's not here today. So we do have the quorum, so we have 4 of you here. But when I got here, this was a project that was outstanding and been talked about probably for a couple of years, as far as I can remember. It was probably talked about, to be honest with you, you just redoing the fence or fixing the drainage or figuring out what we're going to do with this dog park back when I used to be the district manager previously. So I met with staff and let the record reflect this is my doing. Okay, it's not Vanessa, it's not Brooke, it's not anybody else. I had the authority and the responsibility. We put this on the capital plan. I think I was originally planning 55,000 or 45,000, and then I went down to 30 or 35,000. Regardless of that, when we went over there, we really looked at this from every angle. Everything that everybody has sent you, I prior researched. We did not go into this project, despite maybe some others' perception of this project. We didn't go into this lightly. In fact, it was, do we even do anything? Because we're going to hear from we're going to make half the people happy, half the people unhappy. Probably several things in here that fit that mold. But something needed to be done. It was a muddy mess. We just can't keep doing the same thing over and over in Grand Haven. You hired me because of my experience. You hired me because I don't really have the fear of stepping into the unknown and giving you recommendations. And some of them are good, some of them I'll live with and might be my bad legacy. But this dog park was a mess. There's been snakes over there, it's been wet, it's been retaining water. People are complaining about their dogs not being able to get in there when it's raining. So we went into it with, how do we fix the drainage? So I was like, okay, well, we got the resources. We've got a landscape company. We've got a couple other companies that we had come out and look at it, other than Klein. I got to tell you, Klein just continues to amaze me. I try not to use Klein sometimes, but it's like they keep giving you a great price, and they have all the equipment and experience. So Klein ended up giving us a really good price on it, and even a good price on the crushed coquina we're out there. How did we get to the surface? Well, before we get to that,
the fence was damaged, trees had been down on that thing, it was rusting, there's parts of it where it was bent up, the dogs were getting under it, they were digging. It needed to be replaced. Nobody would argue about the fence. We all understand that. So the fence was going to get replaced. The drainage was going to get repaired. So we approached Klein. They came up with a plan, liked the fact that we put a catch basin down there and put a pipe under everything and go out to the wetland where it belongs, or that buffer, if you will, between the pond and the park. So we understand we were fixing the drainage. I don't think anybody disagrees with that. I think where the disagreement was Matt, why did you, in the world, did you direct staff to do mulch and crushed coquina? When in our good due diligence of sending out weekly updates and updates that we're doing projects to the board, which I believe we are communicating better, even better now, and we're going to communicate better with the future investments in technology, we started getting pushback of, well, I've been talking about this dog park for I don't know how long, and I'm not able to get in there, and I have some conditions that make it hard and challenging for me. And that was one. And that was a very loud, resonating, negative comment about the project. And only from the standpoint that if you're going to do something, can you at least do something to help make this a little more make a reasonable accommodation. I choose that word lightly, because we did not do an ADA audit over there. So we looked at it. I went back over and I said, look, I need to look at this from that perspective. So I actually reached out to the resident, and that resident met me. And I understood it from her perspective of what she was dealing with. She was able to get out there. She had a stroller, one of those 4-wheel strollers, and she has a dog, and she likes to be out there with him. But the mulch and the unevenness of most of the area, the mud, and the lack of adding anything, because we didn't do anything. We were paralyzed in tackling this problem. I looked at it. I said, okay, what is the best way to look at this? Originally, we were looking at pea gravel. We were looking at artificial turf. We looked at clay. We looked at crushed granite, decomposed granite. Do I need to keep going on and on and on? I probably looked at 10 different ways, 10 different resources, Googled it to death, went up and looked at dog parks in other areas. I was in another state and I looked at a dog park, and they actually have a compacted sand, so the dogs are running around on it. And I get it, it's probably no solution is going to make everybody happy. But I made the command decision to split it up half and half. I actually had a fence going through the middle because I had a bright idea, right? Not all my ideas are great. I wanted to put it in the middle, and I was like, okay, we'll have 2 dog parks. Some can go over here, some can go over here. Maybe there's an aggressive dog, they want to be there. I had all the best intentions. Got pushback for that. And I was like, you know what? We haven't gotten that far on the fence. Went back. God love Ed and Vanessa. They were so patient with me, and I said, we need to make another change. Don't put the middle down the fence. I even talked to Dr. Merrill. Met with her several times, and we went over there. So or at least one time. So we removed the middle. We're not putting the middle fence in, but I still agree that we need to have 2 surfaces to help us with the drainage. That crushed coquina will also help with the accessibility that I think will make a reasonable accommodation for the accessibility for people that have some challenges. So it became a little bit of a bigger project because while we're there, I looked at the pavers. Those pavers are a mess. The pavers are uneven. I didn't have the idea, but while we were over there, Ed's looking at it, he's like, probably just need to, I think he said it, we probably just need to pour concrete here. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. I want to give him credit if that was his idea. But then we were looking at the 2-gate system. That ship had already sailed, so we have 2 gates going into one area now, but in the future, if we want to split it, we can. So there's going to be 2 entrances going into this area. Only 1 bench. Okay, now we got to put a bench over here. So we're going to do that. So these are the improvements in the methodology and the progress that I went through. This was not something I did in 30 days. I've been thinking about this project since end of February, beginning of March when I got here. And I didn't go into it lightly. I didn't go into it without input. I didn't go into it without doing research. And I understand there's going to be people that don't like that for their dogs. But we're trying to make reasonable accommodations. It wasn't just one person. While I was out there on one of my handful of visits, I saw another person that was challenged to be in there, but they had their dog. And I had discussions with them. So it wasn't just one. I actually saw 3 individuals out there that fit the criteria of saying we need a reasonable accommodation. So if you go to the path, there's going to be an incline, toward concrete incline that's sub-buried into the surface. We're going to fill that in with crushed coquina on the walking path right there where the entrance is, even though you could argue the whole path probably needs to be done eventually. You're going to have concrete going in, so it's a nice level area to get in. They'll be able to go over here and sit, and they'll be able to go over here and sit. You can do the, what's it called? Chuck it. You can chuck it, and they'll go from the mulch. They'll go from the mulch over to the crushed coquina. Point of clarification. It's not treated mulch. We're using the child safety mulch, the smaller mulch that breaks down over time. Is it a maintenance cost? Yeah. It's had mulch in there before. To the comments that I've heard from other people, we don't want to put treated mulch over there if that was ever done. I don't know if it was, but it has indication it was at least a pine bark or a cypress mulch or something. So yes, we researched that, and we just the best solution that we can find, and it's substantiated by looking at other parks. And if you're an opponent of any of these ideas, you can Google something enough, and it will validate your perception of what should go in there. I just asked everybody to give it a chance, and the only thing that's in concrete is the entrance going in. Metaphorically speaking, this whole thing is not in concrete. If we don't like it and we find out something after we've gone down this road, we need to change it in a year, and we'll look at it, we'll revisit it.
Howard, I think you did a good job. I don't think you need to talk about it anymore. I don't know why it took you so damn long to get this done. It's only taken us 5 years to get here.
I didn't do this to make anybody upset, but I know you guys got a lot of flack for it. And to the residents that do not like it, I apologize. Let's give it a chance, though.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you for that. That's my update on that. I'm going to go slightly out of order because I don't want to forget Supervisor Myers and I had spoken. I'm going to not steal your thunder. You had a great idea, I think. It had to do with the Master Association and being a liaison.
Oh, no, that was, I'm sorry, that was Dr. Morrell's idea. I just am the liaison now. Just a report on the HOA meeting, although it's been a month ago, by the time we get back here, and there's another one tomorrow, I will give you just a brief update of what they did discuss, because it still affects everybody here as the residents. Brianne Bailey, who handles all of the MADC applications, is leaving. She will be training her replacement for the next couple of months. She will continue to work with the Southern States Management, but will be outside of Grand Haven. The MADC is down 2 positions as of 7/24. Those positions have not been filled, and they are looking for volunteers for that. There was a lot of discussion regarding the overgrown street trees. Service trucks are hitting the trees when they go under some neighborhoods. They are causing damage to the trucks, and the MHOA is concerned about the liability of overgrown trees. So they will be starting to aggressively addressing these overgrown trees with the owners for correction, and they'll start getting letters to keep them trimmed. Yes, they did.
Yeah.
They're still working on replacing the holly trees in the crossings. They have not resolved this problem yet. They're still working with the vendor to try to get the trees replaced. And the River Club chimney removal roof and repair project. The chimneys were not installed properly, and they are removing all of the chimneys. 32 will be removed by the end of August. More will continue to be removed after August until the project is completed. Dr. Merle, there's your report.
That's awesome. We'll have this on every agenda.
And I have to say that I had a meeting with Dr. Carlton, and we just agreed to and try and make it easier for homeowners, communicate more, and be more amicable. So I think it's very positive.
So that comprises your update. We'll make sure that's on every regular agenda.
Is Dr. Myers going to talk to us about?
Dr. Myers. Did you get a
Sorry,
promotion?
tired, up early, about a handbook for while she's reporting.
Yeah, wasn't it? Yeah, we probably skipped over it. I've got so many markups on this thing moving back around. You want to go over that?
I can just briefly talk about it. I met with Matt about it, and I just found that being a new supervisor, there were so many questions that I had that I couldn't ask other supervisors. So you're kind of you're appointed to the board and you take a seat then and get sworn in. So you're on your own in finding out how to proceed from there. So the staff has been great and has answered a lot of my questions, but what I'd like to do is develop some type of new supervisor procedures manual or some type of guideline that will help a new supervisor come in that can address the standards. I didn't even know the CDD had standards, and have all these things included in it, an organizational chart, the pond maps, just little things like that we need that we didn't have and had asked for. So, but more importantly, it'd be a guide that they could go to. And although by the time it gets developed, hopefully I'll know everything I need to know, it's going to be helpful for the new people because there's so many things. Times I'd have a question and I didn't know who to go to ask since I couldn't ask other board members. So Matt has agreed to work with me and put together something like a manual or something that a supervisor can go through that would include all of those things. And I think that would be very helpful for the newcomers.
I think it's great. I think it will also, for people considering a position, they can look at it to understand what their responsibilities are. So,
And we did get a brief overview from Scott when we were sworn in about the sunshine law and the ethics and those type things, and that's very clear. But what we didn't get was just the more detail of when you go to an attorney, and those type things. So, how do you get something put on the agenda? They're just little questions like that where, that's very helpful. But if we could get something that can be delivered, that's all.
I appreciated your out of the box idea. We talked about this. Sometimes we're guilty. I mean, he's probably been in the industry a little bit longer than me, but for sure, you get pigeonholed. You get regular. This is how I do it. This is my routine. And when she approached me at first I was like, oh, man, another change, right? But then as I listened, I was like, man, this is actually a good idea. HOAs do something similar, but I think what she's talking about might be a little more comprehensive, and I'm happy to do it because honestly, as a district manager, if it helps me do my job and we can give something to a new supervisor and help answer half the questions, or at least they can read it on their own and then come back to us, it's helpful. I'll work with you.
Thank you.
Yep.
great idea.
All right, I think I've covered everything under staff reports then. We're on to the consent agenda, and then we'll go back to business items. In the consent agenda is the acceptance of the July 26th unaudited financial report, and then that's through July 31st, the consideration of the meeting minutes from July 16th meeting, the capital improvement plan project tracker, which again, through the new policy, procurement policy, anytime we update that, it goes in there so it's transparent for everybody to see, here's every month, here's what that is. And then the ratification of the Solera agreement, which the board approved the proposal from Solera. So with that, any questions? If no questions, the motion to approve the consent agenda.
So,
Motion by Dr. Merrill.
Second.
Second by Supervisor Myers. All in favor? None being opposed, motion passes unanimously. All right, business item A, resolution 2026-12 approving the 2026 meeting schedule. I'll probably pull that back up here for the audience. So bear with me, I know everybody's getting tired. Yeah, it's shut down, but that's okay. Oh, there it goes. All right. So the meeting schedule on the agenda is page, looks like 60, so we'll go to that. There's a resolution. I reworked this a little bit, so we had, looks like we had 3 workshops in there, February 4th, May 7th for the budget, and then September 2nd. I think we're leaving open an additional date to be determined for you all, and you could certainly schedule that as long as we have 2 weeks in advance, we could do that. So I know we're going to have probably 4 workshops, but maybe 3. So there's 3 that are presented in there. Those are all at 9 a.m.
What's September, 26th or 27th?
Say again?
26th or 27th? Yours.
No, that'd be September. That would be September 2027. That's correct. Because September is part of this fiscal year. It's October 1 through. So I'm sorry for that confusion, but it would be 2027. Say again.
What is the date for this September? 3rd or the 17th?
It looks like September 17th.
Workshop? No.
No, it would be, that's a workshop, so I think we're meeting on the 3rd and the 17th, correct?
We have a workshop scheduled?
We'll look at it here in a second. We'll look at it in a second. I'll pull it up on the website. You want to look at it now?
Well, no, we have to approve this, no?
Okay. So the regular meetings, as you can see here, nothing's changed from what I sent out. We would do the oath of office at the December 3rd meeting. Let me be clear, there's a, I don't know if it's called the canvassing period or what, there is 2 weeks after the election that the supervisor of election needs to do their work by requirement through the statute. And as a constitutional officer, they need to validate the elections, and that takes about 2 weeks, and then that person can be sworn in. So there's nothing prohibiting you from being sworn in again. We will see what the election holds on the one seat, but for Kevin's seat. But the 2 of you, I'll just swear you in 2 weeks after. So I think that's November 18th is when I can do it. So if I'm back in town, I'll swear you in. Otherwise, you can just go to a notary and get sworn in. But if you want to wait, we do. I like to do them at meetings, so we'll just do it at the December 3rd meeting. So December 3rd, we're moving. Instead of having a 3rd week meeting in December, which nobody really likes, we historically move that up, so that's why it's December 3rd. That will be a regular meeting, and that's when I would swear you in. So if you can wait 2 more weeks, 3 more weeks, we'll do December 3rd.
Howard, August 19th, that's the budget and the hearing, is that going to be at 9 or is that going to be in the afternoon?
No, I put it in there as 9. You saw that. I snuck that in there. I was hoping you were going to adopt that resolution without any question. Is there any need to have evening meetings? You can see we lost half of our staff. We start working here probably at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. We go till 7 or 8 o'clock at night. It's a long day. We'll do 5 p.m. if you want, but it's up to you. I'm going to be here whether you tell me 9 a.m. or 5 p.m. But I didn't sing it, and that was a joke. I did put it in there at 9 a.m. It was probably just an oversight. But if you want to do it at 9, we can do it at 9. If you want to do it at 5, we can do it at 5.
We've done the 5 o'clock public hearing probably for 10 years now. That doesn't mean we have to do it that way. We've had time to evaluate it and see if it's worthwhile, but we don't have to do it that way.
Do whatever you want. You tell me what time and the day becomes that time.
It's a little painful.
All right, let's try 9. If we can always change it. We can always change it. Listen, when we put it out there, we can always change that. It's not set in stone. So if you want to change it in May, and you say, you know what, man, we've had a year to think about this. Let's move that meeting. We'll just move that meeting to the time. Okay, we'll just have to re-advertise it. That's all. Any challenges to the November meeting? Want to be transparent. I'm not sneaking that one in on anybody. All right, thank you for that. With that, I'll just ask for a motion to adopt resolution 12. It's the resolution of the Board of Supervisors of the Grand Haven Community Development District adopting the annual meeting schedule for fiscal year 2026/2027.
I move to accept it.
Dr. Mayor with the motion.
Second.
Supervisor Mayor on second. I think he barely beat you. All in favor?
It's not that.
All right, motion passes unanimously. Appreciate it. I'm just gonna go over this one more time, make sure we don't have anything else. Scott, did you see anything we missed or jumped around a lot?
Good.
Well, supervisor requests. We'll just go in order. Kathy, you got anything?
I don't have anything.
Supervisor Foley?
I do want to make a comment about the, my capital contribution section.
Capital contribution, say it again? Okay, thank you.
Can I do that now?
That supervisor comments?
Okay.
Request.
I have to say to the board that I run into a roadblock. And the issue that we're facing as a group is that I'm not being critical of anybody. I'm just going to say that it has been communicated to me that the National Association Council is not going to offer an opinion that allows for the homeowners association to transfer money collected by way of these capital contribution fees from home sales to the CDD. And I have not talked with their council. I don't plan on talking with them. I don't think they really would like to talk with me about this, but I think this is what I call a deal killer. And so unless there is a great way for us to change the opinion of their council by trying to do it this way or that way or the other way, I'm going to say for the time being that this go completely on hold. And that we do no further work. I'm not going to ask Joe or Lindsay or Rob to do any more work. They've done great work gathering lots of good information about this and found out that there are a lot of, what's a lot? I get a response from people that I've talked with at different communities that they're getting more and more inquiries from communities, HOAs, that want to adopt this kind of a mechanism because their costs are going up or they didn't plan adequately and all of a sudden things are getting out of control and they don't want to go up on assessments by 20% a year and stuff like that. And it happens. I've seen it. I know it. I know it's done. So there is a lot of interest in it. The real, and what I told you is the problem is that an HOA can change its documentation. That's difficult to do. But to take then the money and give it to somebody else, like the CDD, is a real tough one. And I don't know if we're going to get traction with their council. And they're good council. Becker, they are well respected. This is not
Who is it?
This is a very well respected outfit that we need to respect for their opinions. So that's where we are.
So Kevin, your group will need to just submit a final report. It can be very simple based on what you've said, but just so we can close it out.
Yeah, I figured I would do that. I'll put the information together, and that will be helpful to subsequent generations of boards that want to look back at it and say, well, why in the world didn't they go ahead with this? Okay? That's all I have to talk about.
Thank you, sir. Supervisor Mayor? Dr. Mayor?
No, so 17th?
Yeah, we just get on the calendar here. September 3rd at 9 AM and September 17th. And the September 3rd is supposed to be more in-depth about some HR sensitive kind of items, going over job descriptions and the, how we do bonuses and that sort of thing. So this is, we've got some work that we put together. I came up with a recommendation. I'll send it out to everybody. I know that you've seen it. I haven't put all the revisions in there yet based on feedback I received, but I'll review it. I don't know that it needs to be a lengthy discussion, but we need to put legacy issues to bed and talk about them. This has been there's been a lot of change in Great Haven. Just the organizational structure was a big ordeal, and I think you owe it to yourselves and you owe it to the staff to determine the policy on how we move forward with how we conduct our evaluations, which is absent of your input, as it should. And it leaves it at an HR level with me and the staff. But largely the policy and how we go about doing that, I need you to come up with that policy, and I'll have some recommendations for that. And then you can go from there, and if we need 3 workshops to work all this out, great. If we need 30-minute conversation, even better. But you owe it to yourselves, and we owe it to the staff to have this workshop. And then after that, any policy that gets ironed out, finalized, will have to come back to transparent public for approval.
You have a list of topics that we kind of asked to be put on the workshops. Is that the only topic that we cover, or do we have other issues?
I'm starting to feel like you feel about tonight, and my brain's not as clear on what all those items might be.
Okay.
I think there are other items that we need to talk about, but that was the lion's share of what I wanted to accomplish in September.
Okay, well, maybe when you have a chance to look at it, and if there's anything small, we can add
I
to
believe
it.
there are some small
And
things.
not something else.
Yeah, and if you guys had anything, any of you had anything for that workshop that we could add, let us know. We're still trying to shoot for the 2-hour meetings, but I think that's going to take up a lot of time because it's going to be new for all of you.
So I do have something, sorry. So I did the Oak Tree article, I don't know if I had it sent out ahead of time.
You got some compliments on that, by the way.
Okay. So my question is, that feeling on the handbook is, that was interesting, because there wasn't a handbook. So it was kind of confusing me when I was supposed to do it, what the dates were. Got it done, but 2 things. One is that should be included in the handbook, so it knows. And then second is, who actually has the handbook? I got handed to because I was the newest one, so I don't know if that's how it happens. The newest board member gets it.
I think you got voluntold. I think you got voluntold. Rich, you were voluntold.
So I don't mind, the next one I think we're gonna do is, I think we already
I don't know when they're done. I specifically try to stay out of those things.
Yeah, no, the next one was, Linda Lake was who we were talking, help in this. So the next one I think is gonna dovetail on this last one in terms of more getting the organization that we were just talking about. So, but after that, do somebody else take it, or do I continue to do it?
We should talk about it.
Yeah, all right, well, how that works, is it rotate, I mean,
Because
something.
right now, it just is a hot potato that he's trying to get rid of.
I think everybody should share it.
I'm here has a lot of this.
Yeah, not 3.
All right, fine. We'll add it to the workshop. As long as it doesn't add on to my plate. All right, anything else before we wrap up? The next workshop, September 3rd at 9 AM, and I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
By Dr. Merrill, second by Supervisor Mayor, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, time is approximately 6:50 PM. We're under 4 hours. Did not take a break. I don't know how y'all did it.
How you doing?
Wait a minute.
No, I
No, now when I try to sneak out of me quietly, don't go out that way. Before I didn't go out that way.
The sign that says there.
No,
Where am I going?
the sign is off to the side. They moved it over to the middle. She's all right, yeah, she's being treated for a heart thing, so I had to go to the hospital with her because he couldn't do the procedure. I didn't want to walk through the cab, but now I know. So I looked because they said, why don't we go out that go make for their classes and stuff? And they said, we're all working all the time, right? You know what, somebody asked